everybody, my name is Eric Hopkins, and this is my good buddy Brandon, and this is our YouTube channel. If you're finding us for the very first time, please click that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you get all the notifications about when we put up new content right here on this channel. This is our pro wrestling recap show where we go over all the shows from WWE and AEW here, but since there's so many shows to go over this week, we're probably going to kind of skim through a lot of the highlights and hit some of the more important things here. Maybe not go over every single detail this week, which we may start doing as, you know, a general rule here to a degree. Now, we want to still discuss everything big and major that goes on here, but some of the stuff, to be quite honest, especially in WWE at this point, is kind of, in our opinion, I think Brennan agrees with me here, is kind of not necessarily, you know, sometimes something to write home about. So, you know, but if it's worth talking about, we absolutely will. So fear not, we will still be going over all the shows. And with that being said, let's get into the 6 shows we've got to go over here tonight. And that is, of course, let's start with Smackdown. The show opened up with the Becky Lynch segment that was actually really good and the fans enjoyed. It was basically just kind of, you know, building up to their matchup between Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair at Extreme Rules. Becky noted that she proved how strong she is when she picked up Lynch in her heels last week. She has all the same accomplishments as Lynch, but did it faster. Belair promised to win the title, Extreme Rules, offered a handshake, but instead Lynch smacked Belair, and they briefly fought. Lynch went for the manhandle slam, but Belair reversed it into the KOD. So at least they played off this whole idea of how, you know, Bianca lost at SummerSlam when she took the handshake and then she got dropped by the manhandle slam. She kind of, a couple weeks ago, got dropped by it again, and this time she was ready for it. So it's like, finally, you don't look like a total idiot now. She was ready for it, and she dropped Belair with her move. So it was a nice, you know, build up, I thought, for their pay-per-view match. The pay-per-view match, I kind of have my problems with because it ended in a disqualification at an event called Extreme Rules. Now, to be fair, though, the match was a regular rules match. It wasn't like it was, you know, no holds barred or anything like that. But we'll get into that here in a little bit here. We had Intercontinental Champion King Nakamura defeated Apollo Crews in a Intercontinental Championship match here. Nothing big to write home about, in my opinion. There, it was just a way to get the title, you know, being defended on SmackDown, which it seems like WWE is doing a lot more here lately. Good. Making sure all their but here's the problem, though. I got no problem with defending titles on shows, absolutely, because obviously tonight we saw the TNT Championship defended on AEW Dynamite and things like that. That's fine, but it seems like they're doing it every week, especially with a lot of their major titles, if not all of their titles lately. Every week is too much, but I'm glad they're making things important, no doubt about it, and they're billing their shows as something you can't miss. I got no problem with that, but I just feel like you got to be careful, though. You don't want to overdo it with your title matches each and every week to pop ratings. That's all. Yeah. But as long as you do it in a good, creative way, no problem with it whatsoever there. We had a Caleb Braxton interview with Montez Ford here. Paul Heyman approached Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce, noted that they wouldn't tell Heyman if Lesnar's going to Raw. Heyman doesn't want to talk about Lesnar. He demanded Reigns versus Ford for the main event. They agreed to the match. Heyman said after the match they'll talk about the draft, so they're definitely teasing the fact that Brock could be going to Raw. I just don't see them doing that. I mean, unless Roman goes to Raw, because they're going to keep both guys on the same show for their feud at Saudi Arabia.
Here's the thing. Like, I honestly think, though, like, the draft shouldn't even be a thing.
Yeah, I wish they just wouldn't do it.
I enjoyed the fact that Roman showed up on Raw.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the fact that Big E showed up on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
I think there should be more of that.
Mm-hmm. I know I've had this discussion with our Fun Facts and Trivia guru, Mike, because he kind of feels like if done right, a brand split could be done well. Absolutely, I agree with him. But at the same time, we've had the brand split for a few years now. It feels like it's become stale. Now, granted, the draft will most likely freshen some things up because they're going to bring up talents from NXT. That's already been confirmed. It's going to happen. We don't know who all. I'm assuming most of those who are not getting used on NXT 2.0 now will be coming to the main roster. But we'll see how that goes. But I just feel like they're at a point where I just think that they should maybe adopt the AEW model. I'm not saying you should copy everything AEW's doing, because I do prefer AEW personally. But I just feel like, you know, if you got the option to have every wrestler on both brands, does not mean every week you have to have Roman Reigns on each and every show. But it gives you that option. And not only that, USA and Fox are apparently upset at WWE a lot of times because they, like, Fox will complain, well, why did you have, you know, Big E, you know, win the title over there? Now we lost him on SmackDown. Or USA will be complaining, why is your biggest draw Roman Reigns on SmackDown? So the tug and pull there with the networks is one thing. That's why gives you the option.
And that's the thing where like it's so weird that these networks have this much control over what goes on, who goes where.
Yeah, they shouldn't. And that's
You know what I mean?
part of the problem. And when they, I mean, it kind of goes back to the fact that they're publicly traded. The networks dictate a lot of things. And granted, networks have a right to say. Because I know Jericho talked about how they almost dropped AEW Dynamite from TNT because apparently Jericho smoked on an episode after he won the championship belt. And I guess TNT did not like that. And he talked about how they about dropped the show because of it, because they were so mad about it. So, but they warned them and they said they wouldn't do it again. And so you're probably not going to see that again. But when a TV station or cable whatever starts telling you, okay, we want this guy over here, it starts affecting your wrestling storylines, and when you do that, it makes a pro wrestling show worse. Yes. I get they want to have the draw and all that stuff, but they got to understand that pro wrestling's got to be done a certain way as well. There's a fine balance there, and hopefully they can find it. But as of right now, they're kind of fighting.
And too, like they want some of their writers for other programs that they have to be on staff. And I'm like, herein lies the problem when you have guys, and I know Vince's say is the final say.
Right.
But a lot of this, too, is you have these guys who write for sitcoms writing your wrestling show.
Right. Yeah, you should not have sitcom writers writing pro wrestling. But see, again, that kind of goes back to the more bigger problem for WWE is they're not written. I mean, they're I mean, here's the thing too. A lot of their scripts get ripped up anyway by Vince and Bruce Pritchard and all that stuff, and they're the ones really writing the show. But even so, you should have people who know the business, and I think that's why Vince sometimes gets frustrated with it, maybe to a degree.
And rips it up and then tries to do whatever the fuck.
But that's his fault for hiring those writers too. He can get rid of and hire pro wrestling writers if that's what it is. But
I think that's when when it was him and it was him, Pritchard,
Kevin Dunn, the production.
Kevin Dunn, and
Johnny Ace.
Yeah. And
Vince and his yes men. I can't remember. There might have been another one there, but
Jim Cornette and the other dude.
I mean, JR? I don't know.
No, because Jim was talking about this one time.
Yeah.
But
he was not as much into the story
element of it. It would just be like a group of 6 guys and Vince. That's the guys who wrote the show before it became what it is now, where Vince has all these
20 writers. Yeah.
And everything was more controlled then.
Right.
But this was years ago, obviously. This was years
and I still think that core group still dictates the majority of what goes on. It's just they try to. It's like the writing room are there for ideas, and if they don't like the ideas, oh well, we'll figure it out on our own.
That's not working.
And a lot of times the writers may be trying to write some consistency, and then when Vince rips things up, it's like, well, okay, what we had planned we can't do now, and that's why we get some of this stuff that makes no sense. Which we'll get into when we get to Extreme Rules, because I've got a little bit of a nitpick going into Raw. But anyway, we had Zelina Vega versus Liv Morgan for 2 minutes. At least Zelina Vega finally got a win since being back. After she got signed, everybody was saying that maybe she shouldn't re-sign with WWE, but she did. Carmella was on commentary. She jumped off commentary and yelled at Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan went after Carmella, but Vega took advantage. She rocked Morgan with a kick to the head and hit a code red for the win. So, yeah, I don't know if this Zelina Vega, Carmella, or no, it's Liv Morgan and Carmella feud, not Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega has been helping Carmella a little bit here. But yeah, at least good for Zelina Vega. I'm sure this will lead to Liv Morgan beating Carmella and all that sort of stuff, but it's kind of a feud. Again, it's just kind of like it's there. WWE has this thing right now. It seems like their formula, especially on Monday Night Raw, but SmackDown's doing it too, where the opening segment of the show will be great. We'll set up the main event most of the time, and then everything between then and the main event's a lot of times a lot of garbage, and the best stuff is at the beginning and the end of the show, and you can just turn it off.
But not all the time.
Not always, but for the most. Now, or like last week, we had a good match between Edge and Rollins. That was good. And this week on Raw, we had one with Riddle and AJ. Good match.
I heard it was. I didn't watch it.
Yeah. I mean, that was a good match, no doubt about it. But there's some of the stuff in between, like the Zelina Vega, Liv Morgan. It's like, okay, 2 minutes. You don't give us enough time to get invested in it anyway, and
that will forever be one of my biggest nitpick. Not even a nitpick. My biggest complaint is you have all the talent in the fucking world.
Yeah, why aren't
Why not? Why aren't you showcasing it? I don't understand if it's. Look, it's easy to blame the old man. Okay?
Yeah.
But like I said, and like we've heard on many occasions too, USA has a real fucking dick hold on what goes on Raw.
That's how you really feel. Yeah.
Like, serious.
I hear you. Yeah.
And what's entertainment for them is not entertainment for most. Can't look. Fuck that. For me, I can't speak for everybody else because there's still thousands of hundreds of people who turn into this shit who enjoy it.
Yeah.
Cool. Far be it from me to tell you what entertains you.
Yeah, yeah. If you like it, good.
Don't
I'm happy for
entertain
you.
me. It entertains you because I can. But the thing is, I can complain about this here, the bullshit that they do. But then I'm going to an indie show where I know full and well I'll see that same comedic bullshit there.
I think it's all about execution with the comedic stuff a lot of the times. Like we kind of laughed about the R-Truth 24/7 chase that they did like a week or so ago.
That shit was funny.
That was funny. So I mean, I got no problem with that.
And the wedding. You know,
yeah, the wedding was great. The honeymoon to me this week kind of was a bit of a letdown. Yeah. But we'll get into that here in a minute. But I mean, the wedding though was comedy gold. So I mean, if we want to say we get complained about
Theory was one of my favorite things about that shit. Like that.
I mean, I mean, and I'm still under the 100% believe. I know a lot of people feel like Shawn Michaels or Triple H still run NXT. I don't buy that for a second, because if you watch the shows, you could tell it's Vince McMahon booking or that they're head of creative
elements.
But in this case, the wedding was good. So I mean, it's not like they can't do good things.
It was on it.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. So I mean, and then the world title match was decent. But
and here's the thing with me in the 24 title. I remember when that title actually had weight behind it. This is when Crash Holly had it. You remember that shit?
Yeah. Well, that was the hardcore title, right?
Same thing. It was the same thing.
Yeah. Basically.
It was what that title turned into because it became a 24/7 hardcore title, which there were segments that were being done in the back, and all of a sudden, off screen, you just see a fucking garbage can come rolling through and somebody getting hit with it. And it was like,
But they just didn't have a bunch of people chasing the belt and nothing happening. I don't recall that.
During Hardcore Holly's match, I can't remember who he was fucking wrestling. I can't remember. But Crash Holly comes barreling down to the fucking ring, and he's getting chased by a couple goobers. Slides in the ring.
I remember that one.
He gets pinned by somebody. Fucking Hardcore Holly waylays one person, then Alabama slams the other person, pins the dude who pinned Crash, and then takes the fucking belt. And then I forget how he got beat for that damn thing too. Yeah. But Crash ended up getting it back at some point. And then again, you would have these moments during matches that weren't really important, I guess.
Right.
You'd have this moment where he would come running from either the stands or the back, and a couple fucking goobers chasing him down. He'll get pinned by whoever's in the ring, or it'd be this big thing, back and forth. Then he'll end up pinning whoever, the last person to get his title back, and he fucking upskirts out of there.
Right.
But he also defended that title.
Yeah, well, which they are starting to do a little more with Reggie. I'll give him credit there. And not to jump too far off topic here before we get rest of SmackDown here, but there was a video I saw on Facebook this week which reminded me that the more things change, the more they actually stay the same. WWE has been doing this type of booking for a long time. Prime example. I can't remember the name of the pay-per-view. I'm sure our fun fact and trivia guru Mike can, because I ended up having to ask him about this. There was a replay of a highlight from a pay-per-view. It was winner take all. It was Yokozuna and the British Bulldog versus Shawn Michaels and Diesel. It was winner take all. Diesel was the world champ. Shawn Michaels, I believe, was the Intercontinental champ, and then Bulldog and Owen were the tag champs, but for whatever reason, Owen wasn't competing. Bulldog was taking his place and defending for them. So they're having a tag match, and the match was good. Nothing wrong with it. And then at the very end, Owen Hart shows up, gets involved in the match, not a part of the match, gets in the ring, gets involved. Diesel and Shawn take him out, and Diesel covers him, makes the pin, and they win the tag belts. And I'm sitting there watching this going, how is Shawn and Diesel getting the titles when Owen wasn't even in the match?
Yeah.
And then I ended up messaging Mike about it, and he reminded me that apparently that at the following night on Raw, I guess Jim Cornette, who was managing Yoko and the Bulldog and Owen at the time, said that that was illegal and he wasn't in the match, so they shouldn't have lost the belts. They gave the belts back to Owen and Yoko, who immediately defended it the same night against the Smoking Guns and lost it. So they've been again. So it's just weird for me to watch that in 20 years ago now and realize, okay, they've been booking like this for a long time. That because the guy not even in the match gets pinned and loses the belts on a pay-per-view show. So, I mean, that sort of thing to me would drive me crazy now. At the time, for whatever reason, it didn't. Or I just, rolled my eyes and moved on. I don't know. But
And it's one of those things where, like I said, we had certain, I don't want to say blinders, but that's what it was.
that era was, yeah. Most people
Because,
remember.
like I said, you have people who talk about the Attitude Era with this reverence and stuff, and it's like, yeah, don't get me wrong, I grew up in that era of wrestling,
But that's
just
the main
like you
event
did.
scene. Kind of like today. The main event scene's pretty decent.
But
But
like I said before, do you realize how many times that title changed hands on a weekly or
yeah, it's true. I did a lot during that
basis?
time. Yeah.
And between three guys,
Yeah,
and
mostly.
the only mix up to that was when Mankind won it.
And maybe Undertaker thrown in there. But yeah, Triple H, Rock, and Austin were the three guys that kind of got revolved around in that era.
Cycled through that
Yeah.
whole. I mean, yeah, Kurt Angle was involved.
Yeah, they had a guy here and
Um,
there, would jump in the scene. Brock
but
Lesnar showed up at one point.
it
And,
was mainly
Cena.
those three guys for a while.
Yeah.
And it was like this revolving door. But, those three guys had so much personality behind
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. The
to give
charisma.
You wanted Austin to win, or you wanted The Rock to win, or you wanted Triple H, to
And
win.
they did it in such an entertaining way, and the stories that they told revolving around those three guys made it worth investing in. And I think that's what
They
makes
were
it.
also there
Yeah.
every night,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's not like Brock
um,
showing up every 3-4
every
weeks
other
or,
fucking
or
yeah.
Goldberg, or whatever
Mhm.
it might be.
No, Rock, Austin, and Triple H were there every night. Whoever had that strap at that point, you saw on your TV every time Raw came on.
Yeah, and that's one of
Whether
the
they
things we
did
remember.
anything or not, that's either here or there, but they were always there.
And
Um,
I always hold to the idea of, especially nowadays, one good segment, one good match to me does not make a good show. It just doesn't.
No,
You have
no.
to have over 50% of the show be consistently good before I would consider it a good show. Back then, you go back and look at a lot of those, that's probably not the case. But
No.
we remember them as great shows
But-
because of that.
And it's because of the talent, though.
Yeah.
Because the talent showed through. The show writing may have been ass, but it was the guys there.
Yeah.
You rooted. It's like the Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior. Everybody had one. You one or the other, right? You were either a Hulkster, a Hulkamaniac, or you were a warrior, right?
Right.
Back then, you were either Stone Cold, The Rock, or Triple H.
And even Hunter came in a little late to that party.
He did.
But when he got there, he was, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you were one of those. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so the rest of the show, think about this. You had Dan Severn.
Yeah.
You had fucking Ken Shamrock. Fucking Steve Blackman. Do you remember Steve Blackman?
Yeah.
Al Snow.
Yeah.
All these other.
I mean, the Hardys, the Edge and Christians, the Dudleys, those were all great,
Yeah. But there was a lot of times in the middle of shit where it was just like, this is fucking stupid. But
Yeah.
for whatever
The oddities.
reason, you were so enthralled by it because there was so much entertainment. Eugene.
Yeah. Yeah, a little on the
Who
later
was
end, but
actually a great wrestler.
Yeah, there was actually a rumor going around this last week that he wanted to make a comeback, which I'm
wow.
going, oh no, please don't. But what I mean? But yeah,
You
good
remember-
wrestler though. So
The Ahmed Johnson phase.
Oh my, that poor guy. I mean, he was not the best talent, but
But he got what he deserved.
he was a
That
big man
tough
though.
work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah,
But he got what he deserved. Like that was fucking Stinsky. Okay. Dude,
Yeah.
Heidenreich.
Heidenreich. Yeah, that's a thing.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we went through a lot of crap, but
The Funkosaurus a
Without
little
Shine-
later, but yeah.
Yeah, but he was still entertaining though.
Yeah. The cheerleaders were fun to watch.
And Titus could still wrestle.
Yeah.
He's doing great in
You mean Tyrus?
NWA. Yeah, Tyrus.
Tyrus, yeah.
He's doing great in NWA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
He has a title right now.
Yeah, I can't remember the one, but yeah.
Fucking biscuits and gravy.
Festus, yeah, who is now a Impact Tag Team Champion, Gallows, Luke Gallows. So yeah, I mean, there's been some crappy gimmicks, but yeah, but yeah.
And don't get me started on WCW.
No, we don't. We'll be here all night talking about that. But a lot of people are comparing WWE today of being WCW in 2000.
I don't know, man. You got some. There was some shit back then.
Yeah, there's some shit now.
but 2000 WCW was basically the talent doing all the booking.
Well, yeah,
and you just had a guy signing paychecks.
True, but we'll get into the main event of Extreme Rules. We'll see how you feel about that ending, but we'll get to that here in a minute. As for SmackDown, though, we had Baron Corbin had his first talk show called Happy Talk, and I kid you not, he noted he's in such a good mood that he's whistling a tune. Corbin noted this isn't like the KO show because his talk show is about happiness. He had to think of the perfect guest and introduced himself because there's nobody happier than him. They recapped Corbin. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the gimmick, but we got to be careful here. There's a fine line. They recapped Corbin attacking Kevin Owens last week. Corbin laughed at Owens and his attack. Kevin Owens' music then interrupted. He walked to the ring. Suddenly, some dude in a hoodie jumped Kevin Owens and sent him into the barricade. Michael Cole revealed that that's Riddick Moss, who has now aligned himself with Happy Corbin.
Riddick Moss.
Yeah, he used to be on Raw a little bit. He was in NXT, I think. They really didn't do a whole lot with him. But anyway, he's now aligned himself with Corbin. They beat down Owens and slammed him into the steps to end the segment. So I guess this is going to be a thing, probably getting some Kevin Owens actions here, which to me is better than what I heard was a rumor this week, and let's hope that don't happen. I think it was a massive rumor with a large grain of salt. It was that Kevin Owens was going to be taking over the Fiend gimmick. Because Alexa Bliss is out for a period of time and no Bray Wyatt. So there was rumors going around that he was going to be the Fiend. I don't think that's necessarily going to be happening.
Why?
Because they want to use the Fiend gimmick. I don't know. They didn't have anything better for Kevin Owens. But hopefully this will keep him out of that purgatory.
Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, well, they apparently, whatever reason, that's not happening. And I don't know what's going on with Alexa, but her, Randy Orton, and I think there was somebody else that Mike sent us a link to who's not able to compete right now for whatever reason. So Orton's one half the Raw Tag Team Champions too, so that'll be interesting to see if he's out for any period of time, but we'll see what happens with all that. We had let's see, Edge tweeted that he'll be at SmackDown next week for the draft. He'll be confronting Seth Rollins as well. Nikki Ash defeated Natalya in 1 minute and 49 seconds, which basically kind of leads to them winning the tag team titles here. Well, or was this after that? I can't remember. But anyway, they're just continuing this feud with Natalya and Tamina and Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley, which is kind of like, all right, we've seen it, we've done it. Nikki Ash and Rhea have won the belts now. Let's move on. But it does seem like they're maybe going to move on at least a little bit here because after the match, Tegan Nox and Shotzi did come out with their tank and shot a missile at the champions. So this must have been last week on Raw when they won the titles. So it looks like Nox and Shotzi are going to finally get their tag team title match here. Man. Finally, even though they beat...
At least you still got the tank.
Yeah, and I like Shotzi and Tegan, but it's like they earned the title match, so to speak, by beating Natalya and Tamina. Now they're not the champions no more, but they're still getting the championship match.
I mean, the tag titles, it doesn't discriminate who's the champion. If you lose those belts, then so be it. But we still get our shot at some point. I don't give a fuck who's the champion.
I guess that's true. I just don't like the way
WWE. The same goes for like if you say you win Money in the Bank, and Lesnar's champ, but by the time you decide to cash in somebody else's champ, that's Lesnar lost. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Like ultimately, you're going after the title, and who you're gonna get the better match out of.
Yeah. Well, and I even got the feeling here they may be doing a triple threat tag type deal with Tamina and Natalya as well, thrown back in the mix. But to me, it's one of those things about where they book their title contenders because they have to beat the champions in championship contender matches to get the title opportunity, which to me, it's like, okay, if you're going to do that at least, doing it the opposite way. So if a champion beats the title contender should not get a title match and go to the back of the line. But
Yeah.
We'll get to
I see what
Extreme
you're
Rules.
saying.
Yeah, we're getting to that because that's going to come up here in a minute. Then we had a Naomi segment. This was actually really good. Naomi and Sonya Deville are butting heads here because Naomi wants a match, and for whatever reason, Sonya Deville's just not giving it to her. Naomi was.
Isn't the reasoning behind it because she doesn't work for? She's not on. She's not supposed to be on SmackDown.
No, they moved her to SmackDown. It was kind of like they didn't really address it on air too much.
That could be part of the story.
I guess it could be, but she hasn't said that though. Okay. It's just like Naomi wants time, and they're not giving it to her, and Naomi's frustrated. And Deville really hasn't given a reason why per se. Naomi even comes out to the ring ready to compete on this night. Deville won't give her a match. The fans booed. Naomi demanded the match and challenged anyone from the back. Deville interrupted and noted that she makes the matches. Since when? Everybody else seems to be able to make their own matches. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Naomi then challenged Sonya Deville to a match instead. Deville claimed she'd slapped the glow off Naomi's face. Good line. I kind of like that one. But she's not a wrestler anymore. Naomi demanded the match and started a make the match chant. Deville yelled to cut Naomi's mic and had security take her away. The fans booed and broke into another make the match chant. The fans erupted in boozy in the segment. So it feels like they're leading to a Sonya Deville wrestling return.
Yeah, maybe. And maybe, this is her way to get back in the ring.
And that's fine. I still feel like the eventual end game for Naomi needs to be for her to join the Bloodline. That's just and we'll see if they do that. But maybe this is a slow way to get there. And if that's the case, cool. Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, and the Usos were on their way to the ring. The Usos ran into Otis and Chad Gable with a stare down. So it looks like we may be getting that tag team title match at some point. Otis and Gable have been doing pretty decent work. So
I actually kind of like the pairing of Otis and Gable.
Yeah, and I'm glad they've turned Otis into a bit of a killer. Nothing wrong with that. In the back, Becky Lynch was furious that Belair beat her down earlier. She promised to retain her title at Extreme Rules, which she does do, but we'll get into that. Then we had the main event. Universal Champion Roman Reigns defeated Montez Ford. I'm not sure exactly where Angelo Dawkins was on this show. He just wasn't there. They mentioned it. I didn't hear it. So anyway, Roman Reigns pretty much just, Ford has, a good show.
Ford had some good offense.
Right. But
and he looked good. Mm-hmm. I think they work well together.
Yeah. Ford's a great wrestler.
I wouldn't mind seeing Ford do some more. And nothing against Dawkins, because Dawkins is good too.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind seeing tag teams, because they used to do this, where tag teams did have singles matches.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're doing it with Orton and Riddle still.
Yeah, so I think you should do that with the Street Profits. Not saying you should put the Street Profits up. That's not what I'm saying.
No, don't do that. But we don't have enough tag teams, so don't do that.
But I would love to see them both and do more single stuff.
Look at the New Day. They did it. There's no reason you can't do it with Montez, so I'm fine with it. It was just interesting that Dawkins wasn't there. That's all. Reigns went for a spear, but Ford avoided and hit a DDT for a near fall. Ford briefly ran wild and sent Reigns into the steps at ringside. The finish came when Ford went for a frog splash, but Reigns got his knees up and locked on the guillotine for the submission. So good finish here. Roman looks strong. After the match, Paul Heyman noted that Reigns didn't do enough and needs to prove to Ford, Finn Balor, and even Brock Lesnar what happens when he goes to the extreme. Paul Heyman got to say the extreme line. There was a brief feint in an ECW chant here. The Usos ran out and pulled a table from underneath the ring. Reigns beat Ford down with a chair and put him through the table at ringside. Suddenly, this was a great spot for the go-home segment here. The lights went out. They're all standing around the fallen Ford. The lights turned red, and the demon Finn Balor appeared on the ring post behind them as they're staring up the ramp. He's on top of the ring post, about ready to dive on them. Balor appeared behind the heels with a very cool visual. He took out Reigns and the Usos with a crossbody. Balor fought off the heels and hit a huge dive onto Reigns to end SmackDown. So good setup, no doubt about it. The ending of this main event on Extreme Rules, notwithstanding, it wasn't a big fan of, but
dude.
Again, that's the sort of thing that kind of screams WCW to me. But at the same time, and there were a lot of people going, well, it's not as bad as AEW's firework explosion that didn't go off. But here's the difference, though, to me. The AEW thing was accidental. It wasn't planned to go like that. They planned this.
This was planned.
That's a problem.
This was supposed to happen.
Yeah, pyrotechnic issues happen, but this was meant to happen. So we'll get into that here in a minute. Before that, though, we had AEW Rampage Grand Slam that followed SmackDown that night. Here we had CM Punk defeated Powerhouse Hobbs in a pretty decent match. I still think Punk looks a little rusty, but at the same time, Powerhouse Hobbs is such a big man. This felt like a Mark Henry match to me. Powerhouse Hobbs had that slow, methodical pace, which maybe kind of made Punk look a little on the rusty side. But there was a spot in this match I thought they both died. Punk went for a Hurricane Rana off the top, and it looked like Powerhouse Hobbs landed on his head. And somehow Punk got busted up in the lip. I don't know if he smacked his head off the turnbuckle doing the thing or what he did. But anyway, at the end here, he did hit the GTS, and he got the pinfall. So it was good to see Punk on TV, no doubt about it. But it was not the best match from either guy, per se, in my opinion. But otherwise, I mean, it wasn't bad or anything like that either. But I've seen better from both guys. So we'll see where they go here. And I'm not sure. They kept teasing like Punk was going to go after Ricky Starks eventually. But tonight on Dynamite, they really didn't follow through with that a whole lot. There's a lot of Punk chance about going maybe against MJF and things like that. And Punk was teasing like he eventually wants to wrestle Jungle Boy and Adam Cole. But I got a feeling that maybe that's still a little ways down the line. So we'll see what they do there. Adam Cole, speaking of which, and the Young Bucks had, in my opinion, a really good 6-man tag match against Christian Cage and the Jungle Express, who the Super Click, as they're now calling themselves. They win this match here in very entertaining fashion, in my opinion. So to me, AEW's just got this 6-man tag thing down. And don't get me wrong, WWE, when the Shield were a thing, they had some great 6-man tags as well.
Here's the thing, though, because you got to think about this too. These guys are coming from New Japan, where
that's kind of a
6-man tag teams. There's a belt for that.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean.
That's the talk right now, that AEW may get one.
Okay, me and Judy were talking about Josh. We're talking about
friend of ours at work. Yep.
The thing with AEW. And the thing that I'm starting to notice is, yes, a lot of these guys, and I can run a lot of comparisons between New Japan and what they're doing in AEW. I don't think, don't get me wrong, it's unique here in the States to have a title like that.
Yeah,
to where it's
true.
But that opens the door for the whole faction thing to now more and more. And it's like, I get it, but at the same time, you can't just start grouping people up for the sake of grouping people.
Right.
Certain roles.
And I've noticed AEW's been doing this thing where they haven't been focusing on their factions as much. And there's a spot on this show that's coming up here in a second. I want to mention it.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay, which brings us into our next match here. The Men of the Year defeat Chris Jericho and Jake Hager, which was surprising, to say the least, that they won this match. Let's see, what was the ending here? Lambert got on the apron to distract the baby faces and to break up the submission holds. Hager ran the ropes, and Lambert tripped him up, and this allowed Sky to roll up Hager with a small package to get the win here. So I'm glad to see the Men of the Year get a big win. That's good. But then after the match is where all this really boils down here. Hager took out the Men of the Year. Jericho and Hager got their hands on Lambert, but then emerging from the crowd were members of America's Top Team, Junior Dos Santos, Paige Van Zant, and Austin Vanderford. Andre Arlovsky and Dalton Rosta and Jorge Masvidal surrounded the ring. So this was a who's who of MMA fighters here. I mean, a lot of these guys are pretty big names. They all attacked Jericho and Hager. Paige Van Zant worked over Jericho with brass knuckles punches to the gut, and Jorge Masvidal hit a running knee to Jericho's head, which took him out and busted him open. This was better than any Kenny Omega V-trigger, in my opinion. He looked like he hit him square in the head with his running knee.
Because he knows how to do it, because it's for real.
Right. But I'm not. But as we just mentioned about the factions, watching this angle, my first thought was, where's the Inner Circle? Yeah. Not to mention the Inner Circle, Santana and Ortiz come out in the very next segment. So in my head, I'm going, I get you're trying to distance maybe yourselves and let them do their own thing. Obviously with Sammy Guevara tonight on Dynamite, which we'll get into as well. And Santana and Ortiz look to be going after Lucha Brothers titles at some point. So I get all that. Same with the Pinnacle. It's like after the MJF Jericho feud, they just kind of went their own ways, you know?
But in tonight, there's a segment with Dash and...
Yeah, the same. That's what I mean.
Where he brings up the Pinnacle.
Oh yeah. But it was like they're still a part of it, and Santana and Ortiz and Sammy seem to be still a part of the Inner Circle as well. But to me, it was like you got Jericho and Hager getting beat down here. Where's your buddies? So I mean, I want to criticize AEW too. It's not like and not only that. A little later on, Sammy gets beat down on this show too.
Yeah, so it's a weird thing where it's like you guys said you were a brotherhood, you're a family here, and no one showed up.
Mm-hmm. But again, I understand the mentality of letting them do their own things for a bit. I get it. But at the same time, it just feels a little weird. Like, all right, they're in the building.
You can let them do their own thing, but like if you're there and
at least come out in the aftermath. I mean, Santana and Ortiz were coming out for the next match anyway. They couldn't just run down and kind of You know,
Fight off these guys,
after they,
win them all.
or at least after they left to kind of check on your buddies, at least, you know,
Mm-hmm.
at least that. But anyway, that was just definitely a nitpick though, and I think, but I am glad that they are backing off on the faction stuff a little bit because it was getting a little out of hand. But if they introduce a trios title, to your point, they're going to have to kind of lean into that a little bit, at least the six mans. But
yes,
we'll see what they do. But I just don't want AEW to become WWE and have too many belts. Right now, I think they've got a good amount. There was rumor of a TBS women's title to kind of be like their Intercontinental, which I don't think you need. You don't have a good enough division to have a second title for the women.
No.
I don't even think you need a tag titles for the women yet.
No, not yet.
The trios title, okay, but we don't need to go crazy with belts.
I'll say this: if you did a trios title in the sense of where it could be two guys and a woman,
A mixed tag title, type of thing.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of interesting.
Like it would be. It's a different take, and then but also too, I don't think you need that right now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one other thing we were talking about too, but he brought up the fact that you get guys who swear a lot in AEW,
and now WWE is apparently allowing it more too.
But I'm like, there's a time and place for that shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
ECW did it a lot, but you got to think about what ECW was doing at that point in time. You know what I'm saying? ECW was that raw, uncut. You got that in their wrestling, so of course you're going to get that in their promos.
Right.
Here, I don't want to say ham-fisted in because it makes sense in the sense of when you use it, but when you overtly overuse it just for the sake of saying something to get the crowd to go, like that's when it's like, if the promo doesn't need it, don't use it.
Right.
I get the whole being edgy, appealing to the more mature audiences, but you still have a core demographic of children. And I'm not trying to sit here and say don't swear because my kids. That's not what I'm getting at. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is there's a time and place for it.
Right.
When you have, perfect example, the Gorillas of Destiny. Again, one of my favorite tag teams, but you will never see them on public television for this matter. It's the same thing with the Briscoe brothers. Because they're cut in a different cloth. You know, we watched New Japan, and halfway through the match, you hear Tamakonga go, "Fuck you!" and he runs forward and kicks somebody in the face. Like, can't do that on TV. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, over there though, it's different because wrestling is perceived different there, and here it's if you're going to do it when it's appropriate to do it. Don't just throw it in a promo.
Sometimes AEW feels like they just do it for the sake. Oh, we could be edgy. I agree.
That's what I'm saying. And that's what me and Judah were talking about. Like, there's some promos who don't need that, but then you throw it in there. It's like
On the flip side of that, though, just to play a little, not really devil's advocate, but then you got promos on WWE. Where I'm going to eviscerate you, and it's like nobody talks like that. To me, it's like I would rather you curse because at least people, it sounds real.
I'd rather you be like, "Yo, bitch." Yeah, I'd rather you do that than be like, "I'm going to disembowel you." No, you're not. That's illegal, and you're going to go to prison.
Yeah,
you can't say shit like that.
There's a fine line on both. I mean, AEW sometimes does it for a little too much. WWE tries to be too kiddie, and it just sounds like nobody would ever speak like this. Which I'm sure we'll get into some of them here in a little bit.
No one talks like that.
No, I think Karrion Kross had one of those later on. We'll get into.
Yeah, no one says shit like that.
No. Let's see here. Then we, like I said, we had Lucha Brothers and Santana Ortiz. They defeat Private Party and the Butcher and the Blade in about 6 minutes or so here. Quinn went for a shooting star press on Santana, but Santana avoided it, and the Lucha Brothers hit the Fear Factor on Quinn. Santana and Ortiz followed up with the Street Sweeper, and Santana got the pin on Quinn. Pretty much insanity between these 8 guys here. Again, multi-man matches in AEW usually break down into a bunch of just crazy spots and things like that, which is entertaining, but it can be a bit much sometimes.
Yes,
no doubt.
But I will say it happened tonight. But it made sense for what to happen tonight.
Yeah.
The way it happened.
Yeah.
And then it played out the way it played out.
Yeah, which we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah, I was fine with that part of it. But you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and this goes for any fucking promotion because WWE's done this shit too. multi-man matches always have to have this chaotic moment, and I never understand why. Because your whole goal is to everybody powder out to where it's only 2 guys or 3 guys in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
They do a couple things, and then everybody fucking flips to the outside.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're predictable, and it's starting to get annoying.
Right.
But like I said, it happened tonight.
With the Brody Lee stuff.
Yeah. But it made sense for it to happen, for what to happen happened.
Yeah, because they were telling a story with the Dark Order, which we'll get into. But yes, absolutely. I mean, at this point, if you're watching AEW especially, you just got to go in, kind of like when you watch WWE, you got to go in understanding WWE does WWE things. AEW is going to do the multi-man match. And usually the tags mean jack squat, and the referee's going to let things go. Yeah, I know.
Drives me nuts because it's like, you're supposed to be in control of this.
Well,
and then when you lose all semblance of control, then you simply just
let it go.
The whole rule book out, and then let them do whatever the hell they want. But then when you wrangle everybody back together, now they're supposed to listen.
Now the rules are enforced. Yeah, it's a little, and you could say that a lot of companies do that in general.
I'm about to say this is on.
Yeah, this is both companies here.
This happened.
Yeah, I mean, and at least tonight during the Brody Lee stuff, they even mentioned that Aubrey's only one woman; she can only see so many people in this 16-man or whatever they had on this ring. So it's like it's going to happen. It's just the way it goes. But there are times where the referee needs to be a little more self-aware. Like last week when Bobby Lashley tried to get involved and did a spear right in front of the referee and then posted Kofi Kingston, and the referee just goes,
yeah.
I mean, you're looking. I mean, that was only like a regular tag, I think, or whatnot. So it's like, all right, But anyway, post match though, Tony Schiavone interviewed Matt Hardy. I actually like this because Matt Hardy, who challenged Orange Cassidy to a hair versus hair match, which we're going to get on Rampage this week. He said, I'm fully confident that Jack Evans is going to win, and Jack Evans was standing there, and Jack Evans was like, look at him like, my hair's on the line? What the hell? So he goes, you better win, Jack. Jack looked less than enthused about this because Jack more than likely is losing his hair on Rampage, which sucks for him. But, I mean, I'm sure he agreed to it. But it was just funny how Matt immediately threw him under the bus. Like, it ain't going to be me. It's going to be Jack Evans. He's going to put his hair on the line. So that was pretty funny in my opinion. Sammy Guevara and Fuego del Sol came out on the stage to do Sammy's gimmick with the signs and cue cards in between the break. But Miro attacked from behind. Guevara got destroyed, and del Sol was peeled off the stage and threw some tables on the floor. This looks like it's kind of like the old Dudley or Bubba Ray Dudley spot off the stage, but he just chucked him. He didn't go with him, but a big drop off the stage there. Miro then locked in the game over on Sammy Guevara, and the card that said the next TNT champ, Miro took and ripped it in half. So again, good segment for this week's Dynamite, I thought. But again, it was kind of like, okay, Sammy's getting destroyed here. Where was the inner circle? But I get the Sammy's Fuego del Sol stuff was on their own. I understand it, but it's just a little weird.
Yeah. When DX was a faction, anytime anything like that, when they were feuding with the Nation,
out come the Outlaws.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. So I get it.
Hell, even when oh my God, you remember the Disciples of Apocalypse, DOA?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the bikers.
Yeah. You remember the feud that they had with the Nation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like it's like a whole all-out street brawl. The whole thing. Yeah.
Every time, anytime one of them was in a match and then something happened, it always broke down towards the end of the match or even after the match. Everybody will get to the ring. Even if it was a solo thing, you still backed up your brother. Like, I don't get this part of like the inner circle not showing up to help one another out here when you clearly know they're all in the building together. They're all, here.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, like I said, I understand the reasons why, but when you have people in a faction, you've got to
fight. I'm not saying you have to come and fight. Like you said, come on, check on
just like, show some, Now I get maybe why here, Jericho and Hager were still nursing their wounds in the back, but Santana and Ortiz had just won their match. Maybe, you could say maybe they hit the showers, but if at the same time, it's like, before, especially with Jake and Jericho getting beat up in the ring, where were you? So I get it. But you could say the same thing if MJF gets beat up and we don't see FTR or, Sean Spears at this point. But we'll see if that ever ends up happening too. But after that, we had a video package with Andrade El Idolo. He challenged Pac again, this time without Chavo, so Pac won't have an excuse for losing. So I'm happy to see that Andrade is not happy with the way he won. That makes some good narrative sense. I like that. So we'll see when we get that match. They didn't really mention it on Dynamite, so I'm sure we'll be getting it here in the next few weeks. Penelope Ford then defeated Anna Jay. This match is kind of, again, it kind of was building more toward, I think, their Dynamite match with Ty Conti, and they kind of got involved a little bit here leading up to the Dynamite match with the tag team. I'm just... Nothing against these women. Like we talked a little bit before the show started. I think during the tag match on Dynamite for sure that they, especially Ty Conti and Anna Jay, had a lot of fire and spirit in this match, and it really made it come off to be more entertaining.
But that was coming off of everything they did previous.
Yeah, that's true. We'll get into that too. But I just feel like this whole Penelope Ford bunny stuff, it's not really nothing against the bunny and Penelope. I just don't think they're really good. Is it just me? Like maybe they need some more work.
It's one of those things where it's like it starts off smooth, and then there's once there's one hiccup, it rattles them, and then it's boom, 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 misstep.
Yeah,
the timing's off, whatever. And I will say this: that can happen to anybody.
Well, yeah, of course,
male or female. Like you could, especially if you're nervous, which generally are, your adrenaline's going. You make one misstep, it'll throw you off. But it's up to you to get back to it. With some of these women, and like I said, we talked about this before, it's not like it's just no, it's just one misstep leads to another and to another, and then they try to pull it back, but they're moving too quick. Slow down.
Right. Well, not only that, to kind of criticize it a little bit here. Not just the wrestling has been at times. Tonight I thought on Dynamite was a little better, but here we got Penelope Ford defeating Anna Jay, and on Dynamite we had Ty Conti and Anna Jay defeating Ford and the Bunny. It feels a bit like 50-50 booking type stuff. Like, where are we going with it? Who's getting over here, and what's the end goal? That's my only thing with it. It's like, all right, we're just kind of doing it because we want a women's match on the show. Nothing wrong with that, but it's just kind of like, let's get a point.
Where are we going?
Yeah, let's have a point with it. That's my only thing with it. Now, the Brody Lee stuff, obviously the point there was for them to get a win to honor him. Nothing wrong with that, but it's just kind of like, storyline wise, they've kind of been trading wins and stuff here a little bit. It's just kind of like, all right, what's going on? The Hardy family office came out to keep everyone from making the save during this match. They stood with their backs to the ring. Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander came out, but they were backed up by the Dark Order. All of the Dark Order, even though they've had some dissension. This 12-on-5 advantage for the babyfaces sent the Hardy family office packing. In the ring, Alex Reynolds and Preston Vance tried to apologize to Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, but Stu and Uno left, along with Colt Cabana. So, again, there's still this big divide with the Dark Order. So, yeah, we got the rundown for the matches for Dynamite. Then we had Mark Henry had an interview with Suzuki Gun, Lance Archer, and Minoru Suzuki, and Moxley and Kingston for the main event. Broke down pretty quickly, and they headed out to the ring here. John Moxley and Eddie Kingston defeated Lance Archer and Suzuki in a lights-out match. So, to me, I thought the booking on Rampage was a little backwards. But I understand why you put this match last, because it's lights out, so it's supposed to happen after the show's done. I get all that, so I see the point here. But to me, it's also like you start this night out with Punk versus Hobbs, which I would almost put in the main event. But again, the lights out thing is probably what dictated some of that. And the 6-man tag I thought could have main evented the show as well. But I guess they wanted to start off hot. That is one thing I do enjoy about AEW. Seems like they start off their shows pretty hot for everything they do. But yeah, so Suzuki set up some chairs in the ring and Archer set up Kingston for a black hole slam. Before Archer could hit the move, unfamiliar music played and the name Homicide was displayed on the ramp. The baddest wrestler to ever come out of New York, according to Excalibur, Homicide ran in from the crowd and attacked the heels. He cut John Moxley free, who had been duct taped behind his back. This allowed Moxley and Kingston to come back. Moxley hit a DDT on Archer. Kingston put a trash can on Archer's head, then beat the ever-loving hell out of this trash can with a kendo stick for a good 30 to 40 seconds. Kingston then gets the pinfall here on Lance Archer. So at least for one night, Homicide is all elite. I don't know if that's going to be a long-term thing or just a one-off thing. We've seen
I don't know, man.
Guys come in.
Homicide in forever.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever seen him wrestle. I'm not sure, but I know the name. Maybe.
Yeah, he was in TNA for a
while. That's how I know the name, I think.
Him and Hernandez, part of LAX.
Yeah.
He was with Tito's and Santana for a while.
Oh, Santana Ortiz. Yeah,
Santana Ortiz.
Tito's. Anyway, but no, it's late, bro.
Tito Santana? Isn't he a musician?
Tito Santana was a wrestler. That was
Never.
Yeah. Gosh, what's his name? Oh, now you're throwing me off. Tito Santana. Yeah. I used to call him El Matador. That's where I was getting confused. Oh, yeah, Tito Santana. But,
Tito and Ortiz.
Oh, Santana is a guitarist. Yeah. But yeah. So
Pride and Powerful.
Yeah, Pride and Power. There you go. Homicide, we don't know if he's actually signed with AEW, but we've seen guys have one-off appearances before. It could be something simple as that because they were in New York, that sort of thing. So it could be all that.
Homicide,
but yeah,
Homicide legit. Like what? Man. Hell, you wanted some good matches? Watching him and Eddie Kingston.
Yeah. And it was good to see them kind of embracing the ring too. So that was really cool for New York.
Two dudes who thought we're gonna kill each other.
Yeah. So moving on to Extreme Rules, I'm not going to break down this show completely in complete depth here because really there was only like 3 things on the show to me that was worth mentioning. But we will go over the results here. Liv Morgan defeated Carmella, so that kind of furthering that feud a bit there. That was on the pre-show. The main show, they had an impromptu match. The New Day, all 3 members, against Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, and Omos. They gave this match a lot of time, in my opinion. But the thing that boiled down to here was Big E gets the pinfall on Bobby Lashley here in this match. Nothing wrong with that. But when you're going to go into Raw the next night and you're going to advertise that Bobby Lashley is getting a WWE Championship match to open the show, my question is why? Because Big E just pinned him in a tag match. So if you're going to do that championship contender thing where the contenders beat the champions, they get a title match. If the champions beat a contender, they should not get a title match either. So I don't like how you book it with the contenders matches either, but this made no sense to me to do that if you were going to do that the next night. But I get it. They're trying to get a rating. I understand it.
But also, too, I mean, you had Daniel Bryan who lost against... Why am I blanking?
I was going to say Omega was a time limit draw, and it was non-title. So, no, I wouldn't call that the same thing.
Still lost.
No, neither one won. It was a draw. So... Yeah, now, I mean, Bryan Danielson was left laying by the Super Click after the match a little bit. But again, then everybody wants to talk about how WWE hot-shotted, Big E winning the title and booking the triple threat with Lashley, Big E, and I can't remember who the third guy was last week. But then everybody's like, well, it's the same thing as AEW hot-shotting Bryan and Omega. To me, not necessarily, because Bryan and Omega, that was always the plan when he got signed to do the Omega match. That other thing on Raw was just week of notice because we got to beat them in the demos. That was the way I viewed it, and many fans did too.
You had to know that you weren't going to beat them in the demos for that, and you fucking know it. Like, it didn't matter what you did.
Now, they did beat AEW in the demos, I think it was last week. A lot of things have been blurring together because of our work schedule here, but I don't know how it all. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out this week because we don't know the ratings for Dynamite yet. But last week, I think Raw did beat them 2 weeks in a row in the demos, and then I think last week Raw barely edged out AEW by 0.01. Again, it's marginal. They're both basically on the same wavelength on the demo side of things. Obviously, Raw gets the more general overall viewers by about 500,000 right now. But you can look at it either way. Whichever side of the fence you fall on there. Ratings doesn't really matter to me so much. It's whether or not the show is good quality booking and that sort of thing. But, but I don't know. It's just, and not to take any away from these 6 guys in this Extreme Rules match. Well, it wasn't Extreme Rules, just a 6-man tag, but the 6-man tag was very entertaining. It was just like, okay, it was interesting after the fact. The match itself was fine, but if you're going to book Lashley in a title match, just don't pin him. That would be my advice there. Yeah.
I guess who could you have pinned?
Let's see. You got Lashley, AJ, and Omos. You could pin AJ. You could pin one of the New Day. But at the same time, though, I'm glad that Big E got the win here because last week on Raw, he lost twice. A week after he won the title. In my opinion, it's like, okay, you had him win the belt. A week later, he won in a tag match on SmackDown. Then he lost in 2 matches on Raw. Whether he was pinned or not is not the question. He still lost in both those matches. The triple threat was one of them, where Roman Reigns, he was the third guy. Roman Reigns pinned Bobby Lashley. Big E still lost. So to have your champion lose 2 matches right out the gate. At least they got him a win here, so that's good. So I'm glad to see Big E getting some wins. We don't want to completely just screw the pooch on him. So, and on Raw he got some wins too, so that's good to see. SmackDown Tag Champions, the Usos defeated the Street Profits. Good match again, but it's kind of like, all right, I mean, I'm glad they're doing the feud because both teams are deserving of it. I just feel like the Usos, it's kind of like Roman Reigns right now. The Usos ain't losing these titles anytime soon, in my opinion.
Because we said the same thing about Miro. And
yeah, well, I see why they did the Miro thing. I think last week, even on the show, I called that.
I did say if anybody, I do believe I said if anybody should take that title.
Yeah, Sammy. It's time for Sammy to do that, and it's not going to hurt Miro. Miro's had a hell of a run. He can still continue to kill people. It's just he doesn't necessarily need the belt to do that. Sammy Guevara needs the belt. I mean, he's over as well, but it's going to help him get over even further.
The Usos necessarily need that fucking title either.
No, they really don't. But it does fit the bloodline gimmick, I think, right now to have all the belts around them for now. But we'll see how that ends up going down the line. Then we had the Raw Women's Champion Charlotte Flair defeated Alexa Bliss. This basically boiled down to Charlotte Flair ended up destroying Lily at the end of this match here, and Alexa Bliss was, inconsolable. She was screaming, and of course, there was even a spot, I guess she's screaming over and crying over the doll. She was supposed to be foaming at the mouth, so she put in an Alka-Seltzer tablet in her mouth, but the camera caught it because she had her mouth open as she was crying. She didn't chew it up, and it was just sitting there. It was definitely a botched effect, so that kind of soured things a little bit for a lot of people here.
It's like the flash paper with Hogan.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, so it's just kind of she hit the actual selection for the win over Alexa Bliss here. But yeah, and I guess at one point Flair threw Lily at Bliss and hit her with the big boot before the finish. So regardless of whether or not it's like a hard object, that's still a forward object. Shouldn't she be disqualified for throwing the doll at her? But anyway, that's
Al Snow hit people with a mannequin head.
Yeah, but again, a lot of times he did that behind the ref's back. Sometimes, but yeah. Even so, it's a little weird.
Only used the sock.
Yeah, that's true. That's a forward object too. You're not wrong. But yeah, I mean, they at least for now, it looks like Lily's gone and Alexa Bliss is gone. For whatever reason, she's not, maybe cleared to wrestle, or maybe she's a little banged up. Maybe she needs some time off. I don't know. So I'm interested to see if she comes back as the Fiend character, or she kind of drops it, goes back to her old self, as Charlotte was kind of teasing during this whole feud, like, you need to get back to what you once were. Maybe that's how they write it. If that's the case, good. I think the Fiend stuff for Alexa needs to stop at this point.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I think it's time.
I think they had something good, and then they just
they just didn't want to let it go. I understand that too, but at the same time, people love Alexa. That's all that matters.
They had something good, and they could have done with it, but they chose to do this cartoon shit, and it was just.
Yeah, it was a little weird. Triple Threat Championship match for the United States Championship. Damian Priest retains his title against Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. Why Jeff Hardy's in this match, I don't know. I think it's mostly because they got a little bit of backlash because Jeff Hardy was chasing the 24/7 title, and they felt like they owed it to the crowd to kind of give him something more. But for whatever reason, I think. Sheamus ended up breaking his nose again. I don't know if it was on this show or on the Raw previously. It's because he took his mask off, and I think he got his nose rebroken. He had to have, I believe, another surgery on it or whatever it might be.
That's gotta suck.
It's got to suck for Sheamus. It really does. I know a lot of people kind of feel like maybe karma based on all the times that Sheamus has injured some other folks throughout his career. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it still sucks for the guy. I feel bad for him. So hopefully he's okay and everything will be good.
Look, it's not like you intentionally set out to hurt somebody.
No, of course not.
It happens. It sucks.
Yeah.
But man, to get surgery done,
and
then immediately go, okay, I can take this thing off my face now. Boom! What?
Yeah, not only that, the same night he took it off himself during a commercial break on Raw, and that's when he got busted up again. It's like, oh, poor guy. But anyway,
dude, that's gotta blow.
It is interesting to note here that the fans were booing Damian Priest during this match, and they were cheering Jeff Hardy instead because they, for whatever reason, regardless of how badly WWE has booked Jeff Hardy, fans still love him, and that's just the way it's going to be. I don't know if they will do anything.
All the new talent, like, that is crazy.
And Damian Priest has been booked properly, and that's one thing WWE has done absolutely perfect since they brought him up from NXT. I'm going to say that because
that is crazy.
Yeah, they've done him well. So let's hope they continue to do him and Riddle, as much as I don't care about Riddle's character.
Not if he gets booed.
Yeah, that's concerning. How long before Vince goes, he's not over, take the belt off of. Yeah, I mean, it's concerning, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, the fans do what fans do. You know how that goes. In the back, Big E accepted Bobby Lashley's challenge for Monday Night Raw. Then we had Bianca Belair defeated SmackDown Women's Champion Becky Lynch via disqualification because Sasha Banks comes out and gets involved here. Let's see here. It was after the match, though. Let's see here. Hold on. Lynch rolled through and went for the disarmor, but Belair powered out. Belair went for the KOD when Sasha Banks ran in for a DQ. So, yeah, after the match, Banks attacked Belair and brawled with Becky Lynch. Banks gained the upper hand and beat down both Lynch and Belair. She promised to be on SmackDown this Friday for the draft. So, again, at least they're trying to set up this draft show with Edge, Sasha Banks. But, again, why is Sasha Banks continuing to disappear at random times is another question. It happened before SummerSlam, and now it's happened again.
Is she doing a TV show or a movie or something?
Well, she's been doing The Mandalorian at times, but The Mandalorian's not begun filming his season 3 yet. So I don't know. My personal belief is, because if you look at her Twitter, she follows AEW, she follows Kenny Omega, she follows a lot of people over there, and some of the wrestlers in WWE, but she does not follow the WWE Twitter account. Now, this is just speculation on my part, but I kind of feel like she's disenfranchised with the company right now. I just think that's what it is. They're not going to tell you that. She's not going to tell you that, not right now anyway. But I just got this feeling that for whatever reason, they may not be on the best of wavelengths. But we'll see what happens there with her. But at least for now, they've got her on SmackDown for the draft episode for sure. We'll see where they go with it. It looks like they're going to set up Bianca, Lynch, and Banks, which could be great. No doubt about that if they end up pulling the trigger on it. So we'll see what happens. Then we had the Extreme Rules Championship match for the Universal title. Roman Reigns defeated the Demon, Finn Balor, which we predicted a few weeks ago. You booked the Demon, and then you beat him promptly. In the weirdest of ways here, by the way. At one point here, Finn Balor, was out. He was basically dead. And then they played like the heartbeat. They turned the red light on, like with the old Fiend gimmick, and it was like drowning everything out with the red light. And then the Fiend starts kind of flopping on the ground like a fish. And not the Fiend, Finn Balor, I should say. He was flopping around like a fish and kind of got this like superpower charging through him again. They played his music. He destroys the Usos. He destroys Roman Reigns. He's about to hit the coup de grace off the top rope during the red lights with his music playing and everything. And that's when you hear this snap, and all 4 of the top turnbuckles drop, and the entire top rope falls down, and Balor goes crashing to the mat, and Roman hits him with a spear, 1, 2, 3. So you can kind of say they gave him an out, that he was not beaten straight up. But again, this was planned to drop the top rope, and a wonky ending to this match. It was actually really good up to this point. It kind of reminded me of the old Hell in a Cell between Seth Rollins and The Fiend, where, say what you will, I know they kind of, I'm sorry, they retconned that to be a ref stoppage. During the live show, they called it a disqualification, where Seth Rollins got disqualified for beating too much ass in a Hell in a Cell no DQ match. But yeah, they retconned it to be a ref stoppage, fine. But this reminded me of that. It was not a good booking decision. I get you're trying to protect the Demon a little bit, but if that's the case, don't do the Demon versus Roman. Just do Finn versus Roman again. Simple as that. But yeah, so Roman, and not only that, if you're trying to protect him, Roman Reigns still pinned Finn Balor here. So the Demon takes a loss on the main roster, even though he did lose to Samoa Joe at one point, I think, on NXT, but that don't count on the main roster. So, but yeah, so Roman retains here, as we all thought he would, so it kind of sucks to be Finn Balor. Monday Night Raw, we'll get into that here. Again, not a whole lot happening on the show other than a few things. The show opened up with the aforementioned Big E versus Bobby Lashley that ended in a disqualification. This kind of got me and Mike into a little bit of a debate here on our Twitter. We were tweeting a little bit and texting back and forth and stuff. Big E and Bobby Lashley are having a pretty decent match here. Bobby Lashley gets the upper hand. Big E ends up spearing Bobby on the outside with his big through the rope spear. And when they land, standing on the outside is Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander, both of them wearing Hurt Business t-shirts. They don't touch Big E. Shelton Benjamin even puts his hands up to signal, I'm not going to touch you because it's going to cost my Hurt Business buddy Bobby Lashley the title if I do. Big E rolls back into the ring, immediately gets hit by Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley has the match won. The New Day then run out and start brawling with the Hurt Business, end up spills over into the ring, costing Bobby Lashley the title match. To me, I took this as the New Day resorting to heel tactics to stop Bobby Lashley from winning the title. They were saving their buddy Big E. Now, Mike felt like this was the babyfaces evening the odds at ringside. But here's the thing. The Hurt Business did not attack anybody. They just stood there. So Big E distracted himself. That's on him. That's not on the heel team, in my opinion. Yeah, maybe you could wonder what these two guys doing down here. Sure. But when the New Day just ran out there and clobbered Benjamin and Alexander, I took that as that's weird.
It would have made more sense if they would have went out there and kind of stood, and then they get the jaw jacking or whatever, and then say, Shelton Benjamin and then, Cedric then get into a fight.
Yeah, if they started it.
Then it plays out that way, and it still, whatever happens. But just to have the New Day run out and attack them for no reason, that makes no sense. It would have made more sense if roles were reversed. You had New Day out there already.
Right.
Standing by doing the face.
Or if they were on commentary or something and the other two walk in.
And then the other two come in.
Yeah. But for the New Day to jump out there right when Bobby's about to cover him, and that's when it all boils down. They attack him for really no reason. I mean, I get it. You're worried that your buddy's probably going to get jumped. Okay, you can even say maybe the baby faces headed him off at the pass before they could do something. Fine. But to me, it just made me feel more sympathetic toward Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
And it was like, who's the heel and the baby face in this feud then, Now I saw some people on Twitter were saying, well, that's the whole point. They're trying to plant those seeds so Bobby Lashley would be the baby face when he goes over to SmackDown to face Roman Reigns. But they're clearly doing Bobby Lashley versus Goldberg. They're not doing that. So that part didn't make any sense to me. So, but it did set up the main event, which is what Raw and SmackDown tend to do here, especially Raw. The opening segment is clearly just to get you to stick around for the third hour and watch the main event. So they set up a rematch between Big E and Bobby Lashley inside a steel cage for the main event, which we all know no one gets in steel cages in WWE. So there's that. So, again, trying to keep you sticking around. And everything in between was pretty much garbage. Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo, who I even said last week, I'm actually happy that they are tag team now, because that seems like two guys who actually make sense to be teaming up together, so that's cool. Angel Garza defeated Eric of the Viking Raiders in 2 minutes, so that's about all there is to say about that. There was a video recap of Charlotte beating Alexa Bliss. They had the 24/7 championship match, Reginald versus Ricochet. So it was actually a match in the ring, so that's good. They've been trying to do that here and there, but here's the thing. It was only 1:27, ended in a DQ when, who was it? Tozawa, R-Truth, and Drake Maverick were on the outside, and they had Drake Maverick had R-Truth and Tozawa attack Ricochet here to kind of make the disqualification, which is funny because they kept saying on commentary how during a match the 24/7 rules are suspended. You can't attack the champion during a title match, and then immediately they attack the challenger. So at that point the rules should be reinstated, and they just didn't attack Reginald. It's like, what? So
hey, wait, that's smart though.
Okay, why so?
Because so if the rule is you can't attack the champion, right?
Right.
But in order to get rid of the rules, if you attack the challenger, right?
Well, they did try to
it's
attack.
no longer a match.
Yeah.
So now the rules apply again.
Yeah.
So you can now attack.
Well, yeah. And I guess they did attack him. I missed that part. they tried to attack Reginald, but Reginald knocked him down with a spinning crossbody before. So
that's
that part I understand. Yeah, absolutely. It was just kind of weird. It's like, all right,
that's smart thinking.
Yeah. So at least they trying to get creative with it. I ain't going to deny that. Kevin Patrick then interviewed Riddle, who was on his own tonight. Riddle said Randy Orton was taking a break. Orton told him he needed a break from him, or else he'd RKO him out of the country. So that's how they. That's how they explained it. Riddle rambled on for a while until he began listening to Orton's theme on his headphones. Riddle suddenly realized that Omos and AJ Styles were standing behind him. They stared at each other until the segment ended. So, Randy Orton's not there, and he's still annoyed by Riddle. So,
Naya has been telling me for the last 2 weeks that she's gonna RKO me, and I think why that was so funny to me is because she said that to me the other day about RKO me out of the country.
Yeah.
And then you said it, and I know she doesn't watch Raw, okay?
She heard it somewhere.
I don't know why that hit me so like.
That's an interesting coincidence.
Yeah.
Tozawa was still in the ring after the commercial break. He demanded a match against R-Truth or Drew Gulak or Maverick or whoever. I guess Gulak was a part of this R 24/7 thing too. That's when Keith Lee Yeah, there she goes. Yeah, RKO him out of nowhere, out of the country. But Keith Lee, now who is being known as Bearcat.
Mm-hmm.
Did that sink in?
No, it's Keith
Bearcat Lee. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it makes more sense to call him Bearcat Keith Lee, but that's just me. Lee had.
I kind of like it as the
You
middle.
do? I don't like it at all, but that's just me first. Lee had new gear with Bearcat on the back, and he had like these bear claws on his, or bear claw scratches on his tights, and Bearcat written across his ass. It's like I mentioned to you guys, he's a few cheerleaders away, some funky music and dance moves away from being the next Funkasaurus, unfortunately. But they have played him off as a bit of a killer.
Man.
Yeah, well.
Again, I didn't put the two and two together too, and that's what led into that conversation we had about what's his name, JBL too, and I forgot all about that. I think it's the opposite of. I know what you're saying, and I get what you're saying too, but I don't think that's the case with this one. I think if they wanted to give him sort of a mean streak. If I'm not mistaken, Bearcat was he also black?
The whole everybody online is talking about how this is an homage to Bearcat Wright, who was the first, I think, black or African American professional wrestler or something like that. Yeah. I can't remember the exact details behind it, but anyway, it's an homage supposedly to that wrestler. My issue with that is, okay, that's great if that's the case, cool, no problem with that. But tell me. I don't believe commentary or anybody else even mentioned it. If they did, I didn't catch it. If they did, I apologize. But
I think they would have to. You would almost have to mention.
You would think, but this is also the same company who didn't say Rick Steiner was Rick Steiner's brother or son, I should say. So I mean, there's that. But if they did, I apologize. But at the same time, Keith Lee did win here quickly in 36 seconds over Tozawa, as it should have been. It just seems to me when Keith Lee is cutting a promo here a little bit later on. He either is really playing off the fact that he's a heel or he doesn't like this gimmick. It just looked like he wasn't invested or it was just wooden. I don't know what it was. It was a little weird to me, but maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe it'll grow on me. I don't know. But right now, Bearcat just seems like, okay, it's a Nikki Ash, almost a superhero. It feels like WWE character. And it's like, that's not always great in my opinion. Why can't you just let him be Keith Lee and be the killer? Like, you got to give him that nickname. It's a little weird. Then we had a Damian Priest pre-tape promo saying he wants to finish Sheamus once and for all. Sounds like you kind of did. You broke the nose, or somebody broke the nose. Then we had a no count out, no submission match. Damian Priest defeated Sheamus to retain the United States Championship. So again, great and all, nothing wrong with the match, but we've seen this now. What? 2 months straight or something like that.
Yeah.
Can we move on, please? That's all I can think about it. Strong match, but yeah, they definitely beat the crap out of each other, but it's just okay. Mustafa Ali approached Mansoor and asked him if he really asked Jeff Hardy to be their partner. Mansoor thought it was a great opportunity. Ali started trash-talking Hardy until Hardy showed up behind him. Hardy wanted to hear what Ali had to say, but Mansoor got between them. Hardy was pumped to beat up Jinder Mahal and his buddies tonight, which led to a six-man tag where Jinder Mahal, Veer, and Shanky defeated Mansoor, Mustafa Ali, and Jeff Hardy. Veer pinned Ali after hitting a big clothesline that turned Ali inside out. There wasn't much to really write home about. So, yeah, I mean, this whole Jinder Mahal, Veer, and Shanky stuff is really not working for me. But It's that undercard stuff that's just not really that good. We also had Karrion Kross defeated Jackson Riker in a minute 35 with a Saito suplex and a cross jacket. Again, they've kind of killed Karrion Kross for me since they brought him up. Unfortunately, whatever they're doing with him now, while they're having him beat everybody and their brother right now, you should have had that from the get-go. Jeff Hardy beating him really hurt him, and then Keith Lee beating him hurt him, and here we are. Doudrop approached Pierce and Sonya Deville in their office. She wanted the open challenge title match against Charlotte tonight. Deville said she would be fine with that. She just wanted to see Doudrop do the little dance that she does if she won. Doudrop danced in excitement. So I guess she's doing Fortnite dances now, from what I understand. So you probably know more about the Fortnite dances than I do. Apparently that's her gimmick now. So yeah. Lashley cut a promo in the back, speaking directly to the camera. He spoke about all the ways he can destroy Big E to become the rightful champion tonight. AJ Styles then defeated Riddle in a pretty good match, 12 minutes and 30 seconds. Styles could control, but Riddle mounted a comeback. So, yeah, it ended up boiling down to Styles set up a phenomenal forearm, but Riddle kicked him off the top rope before hitting a PK and a dive. Styles applied the calf crusher when they returned to the ring, but Riddle got a rope break. Styles ran into the knee strike, and Riddle set up for an RKO, but Styles countered into a burning hammer, and Styles clashed for the pinfall win. Omos gave Riddle a chokeslam after the match. So, apparently we're going to be getting AJ Styles and Omos versus Riddle and RKO or RK Bro or whatever, or Randy Orton again. Again, it's kind of one of those deals. MVP is injured. So we were supposed to get MVP versus Bobby Lashley. I believe MVP was even injured before all that went down, where they wrote him off. So it's like, why did you make them the number one contenders? And now you've got no other teams to challenge RK Bro, and here we are. So move on, please. We got to get some other teams in this division, no doubt about it.
Yes.
Sheriff Schreiber asked Shayna Baszler to explain to the WWE Universe why she's so badly injured Nia Jax. Baszler walked off without answering. So nice to see Shayna Baszler back to her killer self. Thank God. They need to do something with her. Charlotte Flair then defeated Doudrop to retain the Women's Championship on Raw. Doudrop was running toward the ropes, presumably for a running crossbody that she beat Eva Marie with. But Eva Marie's music hit, and Doudrop stopped dead in her tracks. Doudrop was distracted by Marie, so Charlotte hit the natural selection. So typical distraction finish. Let's move on.
Never understand these fucking things.
Yeah, I don't know why. And it was only 1 minute and 50 seconds, too. What's the point? We got time to kill. That's all it's for. And it has nothing more to it than that. Then we had a Goldberg interview via satellite. Goldberg had a message for Lashley. He hoped that Lashley was a better father than he was a liar. He knew that Lashley was lying when he said choking out Gage was just a misunderstanding. He swore that he would protect his son against anything and anyone. He promised to hurt Lashley, and if Lashley was lucky, Goldberg would kill him. So he threatened to murder a man on television. We ought to put that out there. Goldberg enjoyed handing out punishment, and Lashley would be his victim. So Old Man Rivers is back, and we'll be seeing him sooner rather than later, most likely. Probably it's Saudi. I'm guessing the Saudi. We'll see.
I think that's where you will see him.
Yeah. Eva Marie was still in the ring, getting booed throughout her promo. She said she would have won the title if she had the opportunity that Doudrop had just had, and she was tired of the crowd's disrespect. That's when Shayna Baszler marched out before Marie could leave the ring. Baszler put her in a Kurafita clutch, and Marie tapped out before passing out. The crowd then cheered. Baszler also stomped on Marie's elbow onto the steel steps, and the officials begged her off as the crowd chanted one more time. So Eva Marie getting her just desserts here. Thank God. I'm glad to see Baszler doing something worthwhile. Schreiber interviewed Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley. Said they were complete opposites, but sometimes opposites attract, and the one thing they had in common was the tag title. She wasn't worried about the draft because they could go wherever they want, whenever they want. Nikki said that they needed matching outfits. Ripley was not interested in that, because why would Rhea Ripley want to dress up in gold and blue? That's not going to happen. You can tell how much Brandon cares about this whole stuff. I don't blame him, but yeah.
No, I'm actually reading.
No, I understand.
Reading,
I understand. Lashley attacked Big E during his entrance. Before he could enter the cage, Lashley drove him into the barricade for the main event, the steel steps, and the post. So Lashley doing the typical heel thing, trying to get the advantage. Lashley also drove the steel steps into Big E's back, and they went to break, wondering if Big E could possibly compete here tonight. So they got to make him look strong. Then Big E then defeated Bobby Lashley to retain his title in 16 and a half minutes here. It kind of boiled down to the Hurt Business, of course, tried to get involved. They climbed the cage, attacking Big E as he was trying to escape the cage. That brought out the New Day. The New Day slammed the door in Bobby Lashley's face and helped their buddy retain his title here. Lashley tried climbing the cage again, but Big E went after him and hit a big ending off the ropes for the pinfall as he retains his belt. Pretty good match, but again, it's just typical, steel cage interference type situation that we are used to seeing in the company. But after the match, what really was interesting here, Drew McIntyre entered on the stage, pointed his big sword at Big E. Yeah, I said it that way. And apparently they're setting up Drew McIntyre versus Big E, or at least Drew McIntyre against somebody. Maybe he goes after Roman Reigns if he gets drafted to SmackDown. I don't know. But the indication here was Drew McIntyre versus Big E, which could be fun to watch. Both guys are talented, but it all depends on how you book it. And right now, it's kind of, we'll see. NXT 2.0, again, kind of, I don't know how much longer we're going to be reviewing NXT. Just because it's a bunch of stuff that it's just not really enthused with. Elektra Lopez defeated B-Fab in a no DQ match here. We had a first of several skits depicting the Index honeymoon. Index and Dexter Loomis were at the beach. Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano were spying on them, but not in a creepy way. It was all for comedy. And Johnny dressed as a shark to scare Hartwell out of the waters, and it ended up her jumping into Loomis's arms because she thought it was a shark. So that was interesting. He had this shark fin attached to his head, which was interesting. So that was clever. This stuff makes me want to watch NXT, so maybe I'll stick around with it. Joe Gacy, who last week I actually forgot to mention him. I mentioned he lost in a match, but I didn't mention his promo here. He's the guy who's got this woke personality and says he's not going to use his white male privilege and beat people up. He's better than that sort of thing. So he said he's back this week, and he sat in the ring saying he was not canceled after all. So I guess WWE is going to continue to push with this, even though they got some backlash on it. He got more attention than any of the other stars in NXT without even throwing a punch, he said. He speaks for the misunderstood generation. He calls the enlightened ones. So I guess woke people are enlightened now. Again, no comment there. I don't want to get into politics on the channel, but interesting. Zion Quinn defeated Only Lorcan in a short yet competitive match, basically a way to showcase Quinn. He smashed Lorcan with a flying forearm. Most of the matches on the show were about a minute. That's interesting to note here, which is not good. NXT's one of its strengths was its wrestling, but apparently that's not what we're going for in this new version of NXT. A vignette profiled Grayson Waller, who has a Cruiserweight Championship match tonight. Again, a guy who just come out last week, asked for a title match, and was just granted it without earning anything. So WWE again. So NXT, that's not NXT booking. It's WWE main roster booking. So it's a problem. But this is what they're going to go for now, which is why I'm not enthused with it. We had a NXT champions or tag champions MSK were in the ring for an interview. They were interrupted by the Grizzled Young Veterans, who were in turn interrupted by Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. Arguments ensued. Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen interrupt. So this is a typical interview segment. Everybody interrupts. They all want a title match situation. Monday Night Raw booking again. Mandy Rose now with curly hair confronts NXT Women's Champion Raquel Gonzalez. So we're going to be getting that match at some point. NXT Women's Tag Team Champions Io Shirai and Zoe Stark defeated Gigi Dolan and JC Jane with Mandy Rose to retain their titles. Shirai pinned Jane to retain the titles against Toxic Attraction here. So just furthering this whole feud between these two teams and stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's about it. Braun Breaker in a great vignette called out NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa. The champ responded with a promo of his own, and he is not backing down from the challenge. So we're definitely getting this. I think even Braun Breaker said, if you want friendship, get a dog. So that was being the dog faced gremlin son. I thought was kind of cool. So Braun Breaker's got some talent. He's got some good mic skills. So I got no problem with them pushing the guy. And the one thing I did notice about this week on NXT, though, they were trying their best to try to introduce you to some of these characters. So that's what they do need to do. I got no problem with that. It's just that some of this stuff is just bad booking. But other than that, I do like that they're trying to introduce some of these people. Boa pinned Chase in another short match. Mei Ying blew smoke in the face of Chase, and Boa hit him with a heart punch. Boa then delivered a slop drop, and he pins Chase. Chase's gear looked like
I miss a good heart punch as a finish.
Yeah, unless your name's Anthony Ogogo. But that was more of a stomach punch, but right,
gut punch.
Yeah, gut punch. If you made it a heart punch or a weapon of mass destruction like Big Show or Paul White uses something like that, that gut punch was a little weird.
Punch me in the stomach. I'm perfect.
Change your name, Ogogo. NXT Cruiserweight Champion Roderick Strong then defeated Grayson Waller to retain his title. Strong won clean via pinfall in the best match of the night so far. So at least this Grayson Waller seems to have some skills, so that's good. So yeah, Waller was on a roll until Strong struck him down with a jumping knee strike. Strong then pins Waller. So there's that. Then we had a talk show called Lashing Out with Lash Legend, and a new pre-taped talk show segment. Legend is on a set like it's a late-night talk show. This was similar to the old Talk Soup show that they used to do.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if I'd be a fan of this, but yeah, that's the thing. Kyle O'Reilly then defeated Ridge Holland. O'Reilly pinned Holland after interference backfired on Pete Dunne. The heels attacked Kyle O'Reilly after the match. Von Wagner then runs in to make the save. The heels flee, and this would seem to be setting up a tag match in the future. Von Wagner, who got a title match for no reason, at least is back on the show this week after missing last week's show. So at least they're trying to do something with the kid. But and again, he didn't seem like he had some good skills. Wagner, Waller, and Braun Breaker at least seem to be the breakout stars so far to me in NXT. So we'll see what happens. Next week, we're going to get the debut of Tony D'Angelo. So we're going to see how that goes, the Sopranos character. And we're also going to be getting LA Knight versus Odyssey Jones. Good luck, LA Knight.
For real.
Next week. Hopefully.
Honestly, I still...
My only problem with that match is it seems like LA Knight's going to take another loss, in my opinion, which sucks because I love LA Knight. I don't know what it is. They just don't seem to see anything with him right now. They're pushing these younger guys, which I get, but at the same time, it's like, all right. And we're going to get an 8-man tag match next week. MSK and Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen versus Grizzled Young Veterans and Hayes and Trick Williams. Then we had the main event, NXT Women's Championship. Raquel Gonzalez defeated Frankie Monet, who finally got her Women's Championship match here after weeks of delays due to the new rebrand. Gonzalez pinned Monet to retain the championship. Toxic Attraction Trios enters the scene after the match. They attack Monet, Kamea, and Stone as they lay them all out. Toxic Attraction then attack Raquel Gonzalez. The champion suffers a beatdown at the hands of Mandy Rose, Gigi Dolan, and JC Jane. Rose poses with the belt as the show closes. So it looks like Mandy Rose will be challenging for Raquel's title. So there's that. All right. So not my favorite show. I'm not going to lie. The WWE stuff. They had some moments, some good matches, but the booking is definitely suspect. So let's bring us to the main event of the evening. It's Wednesday night. You know what that means. In honor of Brody Lee, we got AEW Dynamite from Rochester, New York, which is Brody Lee's hometown. So they definitely made a point to having the show in memory of him tonight. CM Punk was the show's guest commentator. He made a full entrance to open the show. Did not jump in the crowd because apparently New York has banned jumping into crowds like that due to the COVID pandemic, I'm assuming. So then we have what I thought and you thought as well was an amazing opener to the show. Adam Cole versus Jungle Boy. The match that they set up since All Out when Adam Cole debuted here. Yeah, great match between these two young stallions here, in my opinion. One of the reasons Adam Cole just works in AEW, I think. I mean, they got that NXT style that, to me, there may be some people who don't think NXT is, or AEW does what NXT used to do, but they're the closest you're going to get right now, unfortunately, with the way WWE is booking their programming. So Cole crushed Jungle Boy with a super kick. He then hit the Panama Sunrise for a good near fall. He even teased one on the outside of the ring, which I thought if he'd have nailed it, that would have been sick. He moved which by the way, what was it? There was a move that Jungle Boy hit on Cole that really looked like I was like, how do you not break your neck on that? He moved the knee pad and went for the last shot, which I guess they're calling the boom now. But Jungle Boy avoided it and locked Cole in the snare trap. I thought Cole was actually going to tap out here. Jungle Boy had to reapply his grip, and Cole used that separation to mule kick Jungle Boy low with the referee's view obscured. Cole then hit the running knee, the former last shot for the win here. Clever ending, I thought. I mean, the crowd seemed to not really care for the fact that, you know, we had a referee, like, I wouldn't call interference, but Cole used the referee to his advantage. But it works for the heel gimmick. I couldn't tell if the crowd was booing the fact that Aubrey was kind of in the middle of this and they wanted to see a clean finish, or if it was the fact that Cole cheated his way. I don't know which one it was.
I think it was when she was supposed to be there, obviously. But I think she got caught up in the one spot
trying to do the boom, the last shot kick. Yeah. She was like, she kind of didn't get out of the way, but he still made it work and it worked out just fine. To me, it makes sense to do it this way, because it makes Cole look like a dastardly heel who will do anything to win. And then you keep Jungle Boy strong that way because Jungle Boy, you know, he had to use the low blow to beat him. So to me, it works. So I have no problem with this.
She and another thing to Aubrey's credit, she couldn't have came closer to hitting that 3 count.
A couple times.
Jungle Boy couldn't have kicked out any. You know what I'm saying? It was so close.
Yeah.
And the fact that she was sitting there with like this in her face or in Cole's
face. Looking at Cole like.
In Cole's facial expressions.
Yeah, that was great.
That side by side, or that moment where it's his face and then Aubrey's face, his face and Aubrey's face, was priceless.
Yeah,
because Cole's like looking at her and she's like,
and I know Aubrey's taking some heat about drawing too much attention, maybe to herself. A lot of people feel, but to me, especially, I wouldn't say too much. I think she's trying to play into the excitement of the match to get the fans into it, which is what a good referee should do, no doubt.
Which is what a good ref should be doing.
Right.
There's 3 people in that ring. Depending on you, but you get what I mean. Yeah,
she's just as much of the story as anybody else is.
She's just a referee is just as much a part of the story of what's going in that ring as the 2 wrestlers.
Right. Now there is a fine line of, you know, overshadowing the 2 competitors. That I understand that criticism, but I think most of what she does, especially here,
she does it on purpose.
Though. Yeah. Here especially, this was done so well to where she was just as exasperated as Adam Cole was. So I loved that. There are sometimes maybe she's gone a little over the top at times, but it's not as bad as some people think.
I think a good referee builds to the excitement and the exhaustion in a fucking match.
I remember WrestleMania 8 that I went to live in Indianapolis, by the way. Ric Flair and Macho Man Randy Savage. There was a spot in the match where Rick was using Mr. Perfect on the outside as leverage on the figure 4 on Randy Savage, and Earl Hebner literally kicked them apart. Like, that's way more involved than I've seen anything Bria or Aubrey Edwards do. So yeah, I mean, it's fine as long as you do it, smartly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had no problem with this. I like the ending here, and it sets up. Hopefully, we'll get another match between these two guys at some point down the line. And you don't want to pin Adam Cole right away, so I get it. Jungle Boy, he's still young. He's going to build and build and build, and he's going to get that experience. I think that's a lot of what they're doing with Jungle Boy right now. After the match, the Elite came out to celebrate with Cole through a commercial break. Once back, Carl Anderson talked up the Elite. To be Elite,
their music is annoying.
Yeah, well, they even kind of referenced, even Punk was like, yeah, this music sucks. Adam Cole's is good, but this one sucks. The Elite, you need to be the AEW World Champion or the greatest tag team of all time to be in the Elite. Cole said that he called his shot, beating Jungle Boy by himself. He's undefeated. Brandon Cutler tried to say something, but was cut off by Nick Jackson. That was pretty funny. They love picking on Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler.
Yeah, the greatest promo.
Yeah, he gave it to Nakazawa, leading to CM Punk chants. Nakazawa then said he had nothing to say. He gave the mic back to Omega. Omega then talked about all the positive response and accolades about how great his match was with Bryan Danielson. He said Danielson couldn't get the job done. He's not getting a rematch, which led to loud yes chants because obviously the crowd wants to see this again. It was good, but I do. On BTE, they did discuss some of this. Bryan Danielson cut a promo on that BTE on YouTube this week. He said now he's going to start running through the AEW roster. So I'm glad they're going to slow down and make Bryan Danielson earn the shot. Now, whether or not Kenny's still the champion at the time or if that goes to Adam Page by then, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm glad to see they're going to make Bryan Danielson earn it, as he should, if you're going to book things the way you are in this company.
Yes.
It makes narrative and logical sense. Yes. Danielson's music played and he walked out. He asked the fans if they wanted to see a rematch between him and Omega. They do. Danielson said Omega doesn't have the balls. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Kenny No Balls Omega. Omega. This was great.
And then CM Punk said something, and I almost spit my fucking coffee out. He goes, "Well, that's going to be on a T-shirt."
Oh, yeah, he did.
Lost it.
Yeah.
I don't know why that hit me the way it did. But it made me chuckle on a visceral level. I was like, why is that shit so funny?
And then just to have the crowds chant, Kenny, no balls. It was great. I mean, I loved it. And I mean, they started out with no balls, no balls. Then it was Kenny, no balls. It was great. Danielson challenged any member of the Elite for a match at Rampage. Omega said, how about right now? Danielson obliged, but he said he wasn't coming alone. Frankie Kazarian, Jungle Express, and Christian Cage all came out to back him up as the Elite escaped up the ramp. So definitely furthering the feud between all of these guys here, no doubt about it. And apparently we're going to be getting Nick Jackson versus Bryan Danielson on Rampage, which I'm sure they filmed tonight, so I'm going to be doing my best to avoid spoilers the next 2 days, and I don't want that ruined. That should be a great match, so we'll see what happens there. The Lucha Brothers were backstage. Andrade El Idolo walked up and congratulated them on their championships before asking where Pac was. Andrade's assistant pointed out they hadn't defended the AAA tag titles in a long time. Phoenix said they'd defend them anytime, anywhere. So is Andrade going to get a partner here against Phoenix and Lucha? Or Lucha Brothers, I should say, Phoenix and Penta?
Who the hell would that be?
I don't know. But it's interesting, though, the way they called out the AAA tag titles here. So, I mean, I guess you could do Andrade's assistant, Jose. But, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen the guy wrestle, so who knows. Interesting, though. We'll see where they take this. Then we got Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson defeating Dante Martin and Matt Sydal here. I had pretty good intensity throughout the match. All four men were extremely motivated for whatever reason. I probably could due to the Brody Lee Memorial stuff. So it was enthralling drama, I thought, especially at the end. Dante rolled up Johnson for a good near fall. Johnson came back with a shoulder breaker for the win, though. They gave the win to Lee Johnson. Very cool. I like that. It wasn't Cody. Yeah. So I was like, good to see. He
was getting booed for sure.
Cody has got this stigma about it, which I still think is a little unwarranted. I mean, what do you want the guy to... Yes, he beat Brody Lee once, but then Brody Lee came back and won the TNT title from him. He beat Darby. Okay, you can argue that one. But then also, Cody let Malachi Black beat him twice. And then he also has this, stipulation that he can never challenge for the AEW World title, which so far he's held up to it. What more do you want Cody to do? I mean, as a fan base, maybe if you're tired of the Cody character, fine. All fair, that, no problem. Maybe Cody turns heel at some point. They're definitely leading this somewhere because I love what they did after the match. Shivani entered the ring to interview the winners. Cody challenged Malachi Black to come out, which the crowd definitely cheered for because they love Malachi. But Arn talked him down and told him to stop talking. This was great by Arn Anderson. Yeah. Arn Anderson said that Black systematically destroyed every single one of them in the Nightmare Factory. or family. He told Cody that he should have finished the fight. Instead, he was too concerned with Arn when he fell off the apron last week. He got into a metaphor about Cody being too passive. Arn's not going to coach a loser, he said. Come with me, Lee. At least you listen to me. And Arn and Lee Johnson left Cody and Brandy. So, sounds like Cody and Brandy are on their own. So we'll see if this leads to Cody heel turn. Or so. I know Cody has been in interviews and he said he would retire before he turned heel. But again, I think a lot of that's just the kayfabe. He's played it up. If he's smart, he'll listen to the crowd and go full blown heel. I think that's what you should do right now. Play off the fact that you're getting booed right now. Don't resist it like WWE did with Roman Reigns for like 6 years. Look how well Roman is now because they leaned into it. I think that's what Cody needs to do. So we'll see what happens there. Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston, and Darby Allin, along with Sting at ringside, defeated Bear Country and Anthony Greed here. This is a fun match between the six of them, I thought. Yeah.
Like, is John ever going to start a match normally? Like, he just gets in the ring, immediately kicks one of the dudes.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's that lunatic fringe I think about him. He's just going to always have.
Immediately kicks this man.
He probably wouldn't like me using that. He probably kicked me for it. But Kingston cut off a double team for Bear Country and just crumpled Bronson with a German suplex. Looked like that poor dude landed on his neck. Moxley did the same to Boulder. Green tagged himself in as Darby Allin took out Bear Country with a coffin drop. Moxley and Kingston shrugged off a springboard crossbody from Green and hit the Violent Crown for the quick win. After the match, Sting hit a Scorpion Death Drop on Green. So this was just cool to see some of the over baby faces get a win here. It was just a good fun match, really. It was nothing storyline related per se, but yeah. Video package recapped Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho from last week. Britt Baker even cut a promo talking about Ruby no. So I thought that was kind of clever. It looked like it even cracked Rebel and Jamie Hayter up a little bit there, like it was non-scripted. So I thought that was kind of fun. Hardy family offices were in the ring. Hardy said that a year and a half ago he was supposed to make his debut in Rochester. That was deleted, though, due to the pandemic, because Rochester is an awful town and doesn't deserve a legend like Hardy, he said. Orange Cassidy's music interrupted, and he and the Dark Order made their entrances with Brody Lee Jr., -1, posing with the Dark Order on the apron. So Tony Khan, the storyline here was early in the day, asked the Dark Order to put their differences aside to honor Brody Lee here. So they at least attempt to, but they immediately start bickering with each other in this match here. They showed disagreement from the start. Angels unmasked himself and argued with Uno, allowing Butcher and Blade to hit a double team suplex for a quick near fall. This all boiled down to eventually Uno and Grayson started to leave, or Uno especially started to leave, and Ty Conti, Anna Jay, and Amanda Huber, which is Brody Lee, his widow, his wife, came out on the ring with onto the apron or the ramp with a -1. It was basically like, get it together, we're honoring Brody tonight. So they all went back to the ring, and as soon as they did, boy, this took off. John Silver, this Johnny Hungy.
Holy crap.
And I watched his dark match this week too. There's a sequence where I believe he took out 4 men on the other side. They were in an 8-man tag in rapid succession. He's smooth as hell, man.
That shit was crazy. He went in, dude.
And then they were like hitting hurricanranas into cutters, and it was crazy stuff. But yeah,
that move that Uno and what's his tag partner name?
Stu Grayson. Yeah.
That move, it's still so fucking dope to me.
Yeah, it's a good move.
Like, God, that's a dope finish, dude.
No doubt about that.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like a blockbuster reverse powerbomb. Like, it is. Well, not reverse.
Well, no, that's just the combos they were hitting. Like, it was, Tin Plan and Joel, with the Spine Buster. Orange took out Hardy with the Orange Punch, which again kind of furthered that feud. So there's a little bits of that with Jack Evans leading with Orange Cassidy throughout the match as well. Silver and Reynolds hit their combo offense, and Uno and Grayson hit a fatality for the win. But again, a lot of people like to criticize AEW. Oh, they don't have enough storytelling. All they do is wrestling matches. This match is a perfect example of storytelling during a match. It's not that they don't tell stories. The storytelling is done during the wrestling, which is what good pro wrestling does. So all these people who feel like the only way to tell a story is through promos or talking segments.
No, because WWE used to tell stories through matches.
Used to, and they occasionally do.
And there are some stories they got going that's told in both ways.
Yeah, some. Roman does some stuff during matches at times. Some of the main event stuff, but some of the other stuff is just
Roman's just got some great ass ad libs throughout his.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah.
I do this.
This is what I
responsibility.
I got to put food on the table. That's some great. And he's not done that lately. I wish he'd go back to that a little bit.
Down.
Yeah. I mean, he needs to do that more. But yeah, this is just, to me, it was just a perfect example. They furthered the Orange Hardy feud, the Dark Order stuff with the dissension, and of course them coming together at the end. This was great storytelling when it comes to everything they've been doing in recent weeks, and that's what I love about this company.
Again, John Silver fucking went on a tear. Like,
yeah, just absolutely incredible. It was very smooth stuff.
Outside the rig, jump back inside, just to jump back outside again. The power bomb, backflip combo.
Yeah, on the outside. Yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, this team's a good team, and of course, a lot of people were expecting Bray Wyatt to appear tonight.
I did too.
I wouldn't have been stunned, but a part of me was like, maybe not tonight. I get it. It's you don't want to overshadow the Brody Lee stuff, but it would have been a good, nice homage. And a nice tribute to him, but at the same time, I think if you choose to do that, I'm not even totally sure Bray Wyatt's non-compete is up yet. Anyway, if that's the case, he couldn't have done it. But we'll see where they go with it. But yeah, the Dark Order definitely deserve more. They've got some great chemistry amongst them. We'll see if they capitalize on that maybe later. And if they do bring in Bray Wyatt, we'll have to wait and see where they take it. But that would be cool to see if they ever do it. Then we get a Lio Rush promo. He said Tony.
I thought he was done wrestling.
Well, yeah, he said that multiple times, though. That's the thing. So Leo, here he is back again. He said Tony Khan's been calling him nonstop, so he's got a stock market speculator gimmick called LBO Leo. So an interesting gimmick for him. We'll see where they take that and how much he's on the show before he decides to retire again. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, good young talent though.
He went to Impact and then retired not too soon after he debuted.
Well, and he debuted in AEW once too, and then was like gone after one appearance or something. So it was interesting. But yeah, so we'll see. But good talent though if they use him properly. FTR and Tully Blanchard cut a promo. Dax said that they were revitalized, rejuvenated, and refocused. That's bad news for the rest of the division. Top guy is out. So short, sweet, to the point. So again, looks like.
But again, he made the reference to the Pinnacle.
To the Pinnacle, yeah. So they're still a thing. But yeah, they're just kind of doing their own thing right now, which is fine. I just wish they could kind of maybe explain, well, they're doing their own thing. We're not going to necessarily be there at all times for everybody, but, at least something. But yeah, hopefully we'll see FTR maybe in the world title picture. That would be cool. I'd like to see them. I can't remember. Did they hold the AEW tag titles? I think they did. Or did they not?
I don't.
I'd have to go back and look. But either way, I like them in the title picture. They're one of the greatest tag teams in the world right now. So either way, it's good for me.
No, I don't think they did because at the time,
maybe they didn't.
The Young Bucks were tag champs for fucking ever.
Maybe they didn't. I just thought they did for a minute, but maybe they didn't. Dan Lambert was in the ring with the Man of the Year. He said he was here to pay Chris Jericho a compliment. He took this terrible company, joined it, and somehow it's still standing. When Jericho decided to confront America's Top Team, that was the end of his career. They chopped off the head of the AEW snake and made it more difficult for Tony Khan to peddle his snake oil. Loud shut the fuck up chants, which I thought was great. I think that they're very well warranted here. Scorpio Sky mentioned he was one of the first champions at AEW and won the Face of the Revolution ladder match, and it still wasn't good enough. Lambert was paying attention, and he sees what the fans ignore, that Sky is a main eventer. Page has 2 black belts and has never been pinned or submitted in AEW. Interesting. So, yeah, kind of like the Gun Club. Never been defeated. So, again, some of these people who feel like they're kind of not getting the attention they deserve, bringing them up a little bit to the forefront here. They're done being overlooked. America's Top Team and Men of the Year are the top team. So, good promo here by these guys, no doubt about it. I want to see them use the Men of the Year more, and I'm glad they got that win last week against Jericho and Hager. And we'll see. No Jericho and Hager on tonight's show. I'm sure they're going to build that up once they kind of lick their wounds and come back. So, we'll see what happens. Miraculous Hikaru Shida promo aired. She's trying for her 50th win in AEW, and she will face Sarita Deeb. Deeb called herself the woman of 1,000 holds. Got to take in that Dean Malenko gimmick. They will face off on next week's Dynamite. So that could be a good match. The former NWA Women's Champion and Hikaru Shida, the former AEW Women's Champion. So that could be fun. Anna Jay and Ty Conti defeated Penelope Ford. This is that match where we talked about how they had some more spunk and fire to it, which brought a lot to it because of the Brody Lee stuff from earlier where they were out there. They were, coming together for this. Maybe that was what they needed to kind of light a spark under them. I just want to see them have that same spark when it's not a memory show, a memorial. Bring that every week. I like seeing what these two did in this match for sure. Jade Cargill versus Thunder Rosa versus Nyla Rose in a no disqualification 3-way match. was announced.
So I did not see this. Oh, I was if this match happened, I did not.
No, it's announced for Rampage this week. So Cargill, Rosa, and Nyla Rose. Could be some title match implications here for Britt Baker. So interested to see there. Thunder Rosa, I think, is the eventual person to take it off of Britt Baker, but not yet. I think next year at the earliest, at the beginning of the year. But we'll see where they go. MJF came out with Wardlow. He wants MJF is incredible. He wants to make this company successful as long as he's given what he deserves. He brought up the concept of AEW's 4 original future star pillars: Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and the most important, himself. Without MJF, this company ain't shit. He deserves to be AEW World Champion. Don't worry, I'm sure all 4 of these guys are going to get there eventually. He called out Tony Khan, saying he needs to start to listen to MJF's demands. He teased bringing out Bruce Pritchard because he had him on speed dial if Tony Khan doesn't give him his way. Not sure you want to be bragging about that one there, MJF. Good luck if you call up Bruce Pritchard and go to WWE. They'll probably have you chasing the 24/7 title in no time. That's just my opinion. But yeah. But then Darby Allin's music played. I think even CM Punk made an argument that that's not something I'd be bragging about on commentary because Punk knows. But then Darby Allin's music played and he interrupted. MJF cut Allin off before he could speak, saying it'd be fine to just be a number 2 guy. Allen's Pippen, but MJF is Jordan. Allin then asked if he was done talking and demanded that MJF leave if he doesn't get what he wants. Nobody will care. How can you be a pillar if I'm the only one who's won a championship? Ooh, nice dig there by Darby Allin. MJF then got hot at this. He asked if the crowd knew why Darby Allin is straight edge, because when Allin was a kid, his uncle died in a drunk driving accident with Darby Allin in the car. I didn't know this.
They've said it a couple of times.
I must admit, maybe I just forgot.
That's why he paints half his face.
Okay.
That's why I want to say his arm or whatever was broken. That tattoo he has
with the arm. Okay,
yeah,
makes some sense then. MJF said that night the wrong man died, brother, and demanded that Darby Allin hit him.
Here's the thing.
Yeah,
I said it before and I'll say it again. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. I know a lot of people, and I do to an extent, like the fact that MJ lives the gimmick, and I get that he's supposed to be this. There's a time. It's time to pull it back and not say some shit that you probably should.
Yeah, say. Like the Brian Pillman stuff. Yeah, I get you.
But there's a fine line that you walk when you do shit like this.
Right.
Of real and wrestling.
Yeah.
And I get that MJF likes to kind of blur that line.
A lot. Yeah.
But you remember the Freebirds?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Was it? It was either the Freebirds or it was the 4 Horsemen. I can't remember which one it was, but one of them got attacked at a show.
Oh yeah, it's not. Yeah, it happened to a lot of guys back in those days.
Yeah, because they lived the gimmick.
Yeah, which someone tried to jump the ring with Jericho and MJF not long back. Remember? So
there's a fine fucking line, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know, and he's got to be aware of that. You got to be careful, especially. I'm sure he's got security and all this sort of stuff, but
that also becomes at the price too.
Yeah.
They keep promoting him like this, and then you keep having to pay for security because of shit that he says or shit that he betrays or whatever. Like that's gonna get to a point to where it's gonna get old really fast.
Well, and there's a difference a little bit because back in the day when all these people were getting stabbed and things like that, most people still believe professional wrestling to be real. Most people nowadays are hip to the fact that it's not, but at the same time, it can. You're right. It's not impossible. Because he can, but then again, you see all these people at autograph signings where they want him to be mean to them because it's the gimmick. But yes, there are going to be some who feel like he's just being an asshole, and they may take it wrong. And it's happened before. It could happen again, but hopefully not. But yeah, you're right. He needs to kind of watch what he does. Or not only that, there's going to be some people who, like with the Max Caster stuff, get mad because he goes too far, and you have
That's
to.
What I'm saying.
Yeah.
Then once you start, you know how this day and age is.
Oh yeah,
so easy for somebody to, and the moment that shit starts hitting you in the pocket, you got to do something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at some point Tony Khan may have to rein him in a bit, unfortunately. Which is, I love everything MJF's doing, but even the Brian Pillman stuff, I was like, okay, you're going a little far, maybe. But
don't get me wrong, I guarantee you, he had a conversation with the whole Pillman family.
I'm sure.
Shit left his mouth.
Yeah,
but they may be okay with it. But there's people. Right?
Yeah.
People are your outlier here. You do not know what one person's capable of, no matter the precautions you take or whatever.
Yeah.
And it only takes that one person to, go, this motherfucker has no respect for anybody.
Yeah.
And decides to take it in their own hands. And like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I want that to happen or anything like that, but it is something you have to be aware of, especially this day and age.
I agree with
the
you
way
there.
things are going and shit like that. How people are so triggered by anything anybody says.
Cancel MJF. That's what would be the next hashtag.
It wouldn't even be a cancel thing.
Yeah, just
you think about.
Yeah, they'll just try to hurt him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a threat. You need to be taken out because which,
and like I said, don't get me wrong. I get it. It's part of the show. I get it. It's part of the gimmick.
Yeah.
But that's me.
Yeah. And I'm sure he's aware of that. I would assume he would be. I mean, he better be. I mean, I know he's still young, but I'm sure he's well aware of that fact. I'm sure many people, especially your veterans like Mark Henry and some of these other guys who've been around, surely have let him know this.
He may have said that to Darby about his uncle or whatever, and Darby may be cool with it.
Yeah.
But how do you know Darby's family is cool?
Well, and I would assume
because Darby's okay with it.
Yeah. Especially, being it's his uncle, but I'm assuming Darby would have that conversation with him and all
like
that
I said,
too.
I'm
but
sure
hopefully,
Darby's cool with it, and but that there's still maybe that one family member who's like, I wasn't consulted on this whole thing, that's my son or that was my brother type shit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And then if he says something on Twitter or whatever about what he says, and then MJF being MJF says something, he takes it out of pocket. Then
I mean, MJF, whose parents posted a photo last week, being at the show at Arthur Ashe Stadium, talking about holding a sign that we're his parents and we even hate MJF. And then MJF retweeted the photo and he wrote "fuck you, mom." I mean, it's funny to us, but at the same time, it's like you're gonna pick people he hates. He hates his parents, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's a fine line, and he's definitely skirting it. But hopefully he's aware of it.
That's all I want.
Yeah, and I enjoy the hell out of him. As long as you know it's an act, just remember that it's an act. I'm sure MJF's a great guy, hopefully, but I've never seen him outside of this gimmick, other than on the Rosie O'Donnell show when he was very, very young. But that was before all this happened. But I'm sure he's a great guy. But it's just he's living the gimmick.
It's just a thin line, dude, and you got to be careful, especially this day and age.
I would like to see more people live the gimmick, but as you said, it's dangerous to do that. Taker used to do it, and we get on to people like, you can't live the gimmick for more than 5 minutes. Like I remember he was checking into a hotel and Roman's talking to him, and he's like, "Come on, man, live the gimmick a little bit," because Taker was old school, that sort of thing. And this is an old school gimmick, no doubt about it, and it's just not going to rub some people right. Darby Allin would not budge though at this here though, telling MJF to keep talking, and MJF and Wardlow slinked off without a fight. Allin basically told him, you're not going to get into my head, and MJF was like, okay, really? Just like, so I don't know if he's going to try to get into his head but this is definitely leading to a match with Darby Allin and MJF, no doubt about it. And either guy can win in this situation. I don't think it's going to hurt the other guy. It's going to be a fun match, and I think whoever does get a win, it'll help both of them. And I do think eventually MJF's going to go for that AEW title, but I think you wait until a guy like Hangman Page has it, a babyface. You don't do it with Kenny. So slow build here, definitely. It could be late next year before we get that, but we'll see what happens.
Here's the real question too, and I know MJF did a battle of words with someone, with Jericho, which was arguably Jericho can be very disrespectful himself on a microphone if he wants to be.
Right.
But what about someone like Daniel Bryan? What about someone like CM Punk?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that he's not on their level, but let's be honest, there's levels to this shit.
Yeah, true.
And I'm not saying, but those tactics wouldn't work on guys like Punk or Daniel Bryan or, that's not, words are not just saying not their strong point, because that's bullshit, because I've heard some
great promos from those guys.
Yeah. So like, what do you do in that situation? Would you have somebody who's his equal or better on a microphone, that he can't get by with these, little insults and these jabs at, like, skeletons in the closet? Like, what are you going to bring up about Daniel Bryan that he worked with WWE? He was happy about it.
I mean, I think you definitely do the insults and bars like they did with Jericho, and eventually it just kind of breaks down and they fight, at some point. And again, I'm still waiting on Wardlow to turn on him, so that's going to happen someday too.
But there's just certain things you can't say to guys like that because there's really no skeletons there.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
But I don't know. We'll have to see what they do. But I think it'll still be entertaining because they'll still cut great promos regardless of that fact. They'll have to. They'll attack each other somehow, no doubt about it. Then they had the rundown of the next two show lineup here. Rampage is Bryan Danielson versus Nick Jackson. A no disqualification 3-way: Cargill, Rosa, and Nyla Rose. Hair versus hair: Orange Cassidy and Jack Evans. So that's
I
a
could
decent.
Do without the Nyla Rose.
Nyla Rose is one of those. Just Jade Cargill, they're still trying to build her. She's not working for me. I'd like to see Thunder Rosa win, but I got a feeling Cargill's getting the win here to continue her build. Maybe she pins Nyla Rose and not Thunder Rosa, but we'll see how they do that for sure. And then Dynamite next week is their anniversary show. This is a good lineup here. You got Hikaru Shida versus Serena Deeb. The Casino ladder match. I'm assuming the winner gets a title match. It's like the Casino Battle Royale. So they've done that before.
Daniel Bryan wins that.
Well, he's not going to be in that match, though, because he's in this match.
Yeah, that's right.
The Elite, Kenny Omega, Adam Cole, and the Young Bucks versus Bryan Danielson, Christian Cage, and Jungle Express, which that could be absolutely great. 8-man, for sure, AEW style, but could be a lot of fun between those 8 guys, no doubt. We'll see how they handle that. And we could be getting more Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson stuff there, teasing their future as well. We had a video promo recap Miro versus Fuego del Sol and hyped up Miro's upcoming match against Sammy Guevara. That led to the main event, TNT Championship. Miro defending his title against Sammy Guevara here. To me, this was the crowning moment for Sammy Guevara, in my opinion, to this point in his career. Kid's got lots of uber talent. And not only that, it played, again, storytelling in a wrestling match. For weeks, we've talked about Fuego del Sol pointing out that Miro's weakness is his neck. How does this match end? Sammy Guevara hits a spinning DDT off the ropes and into his maneuver, playing on the neck injury. So perfect. The tornado DDT. What's that?
The DTH.
The GTH, yeah. And he scaled the ropes and landed the 630 senton to win the match. But not only that, he was hitting dives on the outside to Miro. Definitely had Miro on the ropes throughout a lot of this match. But Miro was looking strong, too. Fuego del Sol ran out, but immediately got punched in the face. So, yes. I mean, Fuego's...
Dude, that kick he did to Sammy, I think with Sammy...
Oh, my God.
Flattened out. He, flattened out.
He was...
Just... I was like, yo.
There was a spot where earlier in the match where Guevara tried a shooting star press where Miro went to catch him but kind of lost balance.
Yeah.
But he's trying to catch him on a shooting star. I mean, that's a hard feat to do. But they recovered. They just kind of fell forward a little bit. Yeah. I mean, it was well done. And I thought they gave Sammy Guevara the complete hero's treatment here after winning the belt off the dastardly heel. So confetti even fell from the rafters as Guevara celebrated with Fuego and company to end the show. So definitely a big time moment for him and a good ending to a very good Dynamite.
So partway, it was leading towards the end of this. I thought Sammy's gonna win this, and then the kick happened.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, maybe not now. And then he kicked out, and I go, no, Sammy's definitely fucking winning it. And I was like, all right.
Now during the match, they kind of had me going both ways, but when they announced at the beginning of the show that it was going to be the main event, my first thought was it's a Brody Lee memorial show. They're not going to end it with the heel winning. So I thought
you could have.
I mean, you could have.
It was bad if Miro would have won.
I just feel like they wanted to send everybody home happy. Of course, they may have filmed Rampage right after this too. I don't know. Maybe it's still alive.
And then they also brought up how long he's had that title.
Yeah. So, and nothing wrong with that. I mean, he's had it for a while. Good run. And like I said, it's not going to hurt Miro as long as they keep booking him strong. He was still booked strong here, even in the loss. So if he continues to wrestle like he has been, beating people, maybe he continues to chase Sammy again. But I don't want to necessarily see rematches like a bunch of times. AEW don't do that. But I'm sure Miro may even go for the world title at some point. Who's to say he won't elevate? That's fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe he gets a tag partner. I don't think you need to bring Kip Sabian back to do that. But somebody, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, Sammy Guevara, definitely his moment to shine, and I'm glad to see him win the title here. No doubt about that. And he gets one of the few of the 4 pillars, as MJF mentioned this earlier on, of AEW getting a title as well. So now it's MJF, and Jungle Boy needs to get a belt at some point. So we'll be seeing that sometime in the future, I'm sure, as well, as they build these young guys up, and it's a good job.
Jungle Boy also got a title shot.
Yeah, he did. And yeah, so I mean, he didn't win that match, but that's okay. He looked good in that match.
MJF should be focusing on more than that than just nitpicking about people's families and past.
Yeah, and I think my guess is he beats Darby. But then again, Darby may beat MJF. I mean, MJF's only lost 1 match in his AEW career. Darby coming off a loss to Punk. Maybe you give this match to Darby. I mean, that's possible.
And also too, this is a good story point for Darby.
Yeah.
Or not Darby, MJF and Darby. If you go this route, you can have Darby say, "Well, what have you done?"
Not only that, the fact that was even mentioned tonight, MJF's playing off the fact that Darby is straight edge.
Mm-hmm.
At what point does Punk get involved with MJF because of the straight edge gimmick? Maybe he gets tired of his talking bad on straight edge. I don't know. I'm just saying there's a cracked door there.
Situations of what do? You're gonna have MJF. I get controversial person go up against one of the most controversial people out there in wrestling.
Punk, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's going to happen eventually. I don't know how soon, but to me, it just kind of struck me.
But what's your talking point here?
I'm sure they'll
you got somebody who called out one of the biggest companies in wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Well, you could say, "Oh, he took his ball and let home for 7 years. He should have stayed." There's a lot of things you could do. I don't know.
Up, like, the MMA thing.
Yeah, you could.
That's him chasing a dream.
He mentions AJ, his wife. I mean, there's a lot of things MJF could run with this. Maybe you're too old. You can't hack it anymore. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's things you can do.
That's cheap though.
Well, I'm not sure, but I'm sure. Maybe they just do the straight edge stuff. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's not the first time we've seen the straight edge stuff be used in a storyline with Punk, for sure.
Why does that matter? He doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke.
Yeah, to some people that's weird. I mean, I would consider that
MJF
a good thing.
Doesn't either.
Right, so I don't know, but Jericho I could see with MJF. What, you don't want a little bit of the bubbly there, Punk, or whatever, but that sort of thing. But I don't know. We'll see what they do. I mean, I have faith in it because I think both guys are talented enough to make it work somehow or another. But that may be a little bit down the line here. But I just thought that was interesting, considering MJF mentioned the straight edge stuff.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, what do you do in that situation?
I don't know,
because you can't really just say this stuff against somebody who there's nothing you could bring up. I mean, yeah, okay. He was a dick to some people.
Well, and it depends on if it plays into the Darby stuff, too. Maybe there's a thread there to be pulled. I don't know. I mean, it just depends on how they go about booking it. But, I don't think that's right away. I think, obviously, right now, it's MJF and Darby, and we'll see how that goes. Yeah. I think it could be a good match, and I'm guessing that match is at Full Gear in the middle of November. So we'll see about all that. So I guess that'll do it for tonight's show. We're just now right at 2 hours here. So it's 6 long shows that we had to get through here. We're trying to get these shows a little bit shorter, but there's so much to cover sometimes. We do enjoy talking about it, so we'll continue to do that here on the channel. But if you're finding this for the very first time, please hit that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you get all the notifications about when we put up new content here on this channel, including our wrestling recap every single week and our wrestling fun facts and trivia segments discussing pro wrestling as well. And until our next video, guys, take care. Okay, I'll have to edit.